Welcome everyone. This is Evelyn here. It's 12:39 on the clock, which is the 12 of the Hanging Man and the 39 of the Knight of Cups. And I was just doing my meditation for you. It was actually 12:33, which is literally Christ on the cross. There's a lot of different themes coming up here, and I'm going to be covering from October 4th or 10/4, message received, through today. So we'll get through as much as I can. Yeah, so take a deep breath. What was coming up significantly just now, when I did my meditation, first thing I was seeing was the green heart, so the physical heart and physical health, what you're taking in as we're approaching the full moon on the 17th, so we're in those full moon energies now. I personally have been dealing with cats and dogs and the energies between them, so there's a lot of metaphors relating to that dynamic coming up. So one of the kittens, so for those of you not familiar or haven't been listening recently, my daughter and her dog Teddy came home 2 years ago, so they're both living with me, and Teddy Bear's a wonderful, sweet dog. And recently my neighbor's cat had come up to me last month wanting lots of pets, which was unusual for them. They're wild cats, and I don't know if they're actually feeding them or not. So I left out some food for her. So anyway, since then, her 2 kittens, which were teenage cats actually at the time, started coming over for food as well, so I was feeding them. And then last week, all of a sudden, 3 new kittens popped out from underneath my deck. So I have actually 6 cats outside battling with Teddy for his territory right in the backyard, which is fenced off for him. So the kittens are fine with him. You know, they're a little skittish and they stay away from him, but they're not being aggressive with him. But the mama cat is, of course, because she's got little kittens. And yesterday, they're working it out. I usually make her go on the other side of the fence because she can fit through the pole in the wall to get through to the backyard. So she'll go on the other side of the pole where I leave their food so that Teddy can go out and, you know, run around the backyard and go to the bathroom. And one of her teenage cats, I'll call them, is fine with him. And she's been coming out to hang out with him a little bit, but she still doesn't get right next to him. And then the 3 kittens usually stay on the other side of the fence, but they come in the yard too when he's not back there, and they'll run under the deck if they get scared. So anyway, I'm dealing with that dynamic. And yesterday when she went for him because she got into the backyard when he was back there, and I went to, you know, push her away, and she got her claws in my fingers, so you might notice them in my hands as I'm showing you the cards. So I'm dealing with those energies, and besides that, the energy, I haven't done a video this week because there's so much frustration and anger in the air, in the collective energies, and I've been feeling that. And then Teddy's been whining at the back door all day, which isn't good for my energy because, right, whining is a signal that someone needs help. So there's that energy coming up. All right, so one of her new kittens is a gray kitten who looks very different than the other striped kittens and is very much like a cat that me and my roommate had in college, whose name was PM. And PM was short for Piss Monster because he peed in the car on the way home with Livingston, which was the other cat, which was an orange cat. So there's energy of Piss Monster. And then Jen and I, when she was younger, had a hamster who the first thing they did with us when we picked them up was, you know, poop in our hand. And then right before Craps died, pooped in our hands again. So anyway, his name was Craps. So here's this energy of going to the bathroom, right? Piss Monster and Craps. And then what I was seeing was the kittens kept coming up. And then I'm seeing like a wolf fox turn into a bear, which is representative of Teddy Bear, who's a very sweet dog, but he looks like he's very big to the cats. And he's part wolf, right? And the cats may see him as a fox as well. But they worry about the bear because I call him Teddy Bear, because bears can climb trees like cats can. And that accidents happen, right? So there are wounds around when you were a child, right? Accidents happen, going to the bathroom in your pants or at school. Those wounds could be coming up to clear, as well as just natural occurrences where you know, bigger kids and little kids, or bigger animals and little animals, can hurt each other by accident, right? Just because of their size. So all of these wounds are coming up to be cleared, right? Things that happened without ill intent, but also the anger and frustration in the collective at this full moon coming up on the 17th in a couple of days. So we're in that energy now that needs to be released. Screaming, shout, cry, and the howling are very are being called on right now to release in this full moon specifically. And also we're releasing Pearl Harbor was coming up, and relating to Japanese honor in death and Harry Carey type of energies. So really interesting stuff coming up. So we're going to go back now to the 4th, and we're going to get as far as I can. I just did this read last night, and I have a message of the day that I did yesterday or the day before, and then the messages from this morning. So I'm hoping I'm able to get through back till today's energies. But we're going to start on the 4th. The 4th was a Friday, and the new moon eclipse was on the 2nd, so we were still in the eclipse energies at 10:04. Again, message received. And as I came on to the 4th, the energy of my New Year's that I told you about before, that this year, this leap year, they were showing me 4 New Years instead of 1. So April 9th was that first New Year's, and then July 18th, and then October 26th. Interesting, right? Because we're coming up on October 26th soon. But these dates all came up before significant events, right? So 7/18 came up right before the Olympics. 10/26 comes up right before the elections. And then 4/9 had a more spiritual undertone to it. And that was also right after the 4/8 eclipse. And the 4/9 date was the 100th day of the year because it's a leap year. Otherwise, it wouldn't have been the 100th day. But the day was also the 739,000th day. I can't say it, but 739, which is the Chariot and the Knight of Cups, and then the 1,000 day. And so besides that day, the 4/9 year, the 9-year cycles in numerology was coming up. So that was coming up as significant for 2024 from 2015, which for me was a big starting point. And 9 years is 108 months and 3,288 days, which was coming up very significantly. 3288 is the journeyman, and the 88 is the two twins dancing side by side, already integrated within themselves, okay? It's like the Crazy Eights dance. So 3288, and this was coming up in Gematria as well, under 3288 was 20, 20, and 3, or the year 2023. But 2020 was coming up here, plus 3 years, which is 2023. And again, the energy of that year of 2020 and 2020 vision, hindsight. And then getting to 2023, which remember I told you 23 and 24 is the King of Wands and Queen of Wands, and right, and the integration between them. And the word Havalani came up, Havalani, and I didn't find that in any dictionaries specifically. There are similar words to that, but not that specific word. But when you break it up into Hava and then Lani, it was coming up as to have and to hold, the queen and the king, as I just brought up the king and the queen, and the celestial melody, the heavenly tune, the sky beyond, the journey to 88, which is 16, the sudden event or epiphany, and the empress and the higher self dancing side by side. Okay, and a lot of times the masculine and feminine are coming up as the mother and son energies. Then the stripped envelope supernova had come up as well in a message, which is SESN, which can represent southeast or the south and the north as well. You can remember it that way, but that was coming up, the stripped envelope supernova. And again, we always talk about the twins enveloping, right? Turning inside out, through and through. And right here, the pi symbol came up again because 314, if you write it backwards, it is the word pi, P-I-E. And again, that came up with my Noah's Ark, that is the combination of the torus inside the trident of Poseidon, basically a fork and an apple, which becomes the 2 and the 3, which the 23 is the King of Wands, or mastering of passions, of that fire. The energy of the path ripped, Sophia tripped, or trip housing, ED. The JC, notice JC is Jesus Christ, of course, but it's also the letters J and C, which represents the torus, and the torus with direction, though, okay, because not just straight up and down, it has direction. The veil, the sail, and bicycle was also coming up as 2 cycles, and the P, Sophia's upper, and Christed is Christ to Ed, like Mr. Ed, the ovum and plain, or the land, as in plain, and the eggs unfertilized. As Sophia is 3, the mother, the 3 represents the eagle soaring. But remember, eagle is Ea's glee, and Sophia is the wisdom of Ea, right? So Sophia is the mother of Ea, and Ea is the eagle, which is Ea's glee. So remember, our seeding came up with the energy of Zeus and Poseidon, or Ea and Enki and Enlil, and the brothers wanting a human race to work for them, but not be as smart as them, so that they wouldn't take over. But again, that didn't work. But anyway, they seeded them, the Anunnaki seeded us from themselves, which actually came from a lot of different ET races, right? So we're all mutts, not just the US as mutts, but the whole world as mutts. So Sophia is the 3 of the eagle, right? 3 is the empress. So it combines both the mother and son. The P and the P, or the 698 P pod, to Ed, which is also the temple of the planetary spin, okay? So to honor our Earth, its divine aspect. The JC, or direction of the torus, creates ELO, Electric Light Orchestra. The P and Sophia, and the upper rises, like on the upper stands, of the Christ to Ed plane. Sophia and Ea's glee, 2 P's in the temple on earth. JC creates a light show, housing Ea and Sophia on the upper risers, and the Christ to temple earth plane eggs, or unfertilized eggs, on the field. So what's coming up for me now is, if you watch Elena Denon, she recently had a conference in Colorado in which she connected with Thor Han, her Pleiadian direct contact, from a device that she has in her head from being abducted, and had asked him if he could bring some kind of proof to this conference in Colorado. And you can watch her channel on YouTube. So she showed what Thor Han did for her. So he literally got some of their ships to do a little show, but they had to do it very high up because they're not allowed in human airspace. And then they also, in agreement with U.S. officials, and I think she quoted from Raven Rock specifically, which is in Pennsylvania, that they were able to get the TR-3 and did a show of the TR-3 in a closer range because it was, allowed by the humans. So that is coming up, right? So we're getting proof that there is life, right, outside of us. The mother and son, 2 peas in a pod, as JC puts on a light show of Ea and Sophia higher up in the stands, or the stars. And then my farm and Melf representations were coming up again. The farm is the father's arm. The Melf is the mother's elf. They have other meanings as well. The Christ and ED down on the field, or the farm, or out in left field at the farm, at the Y in the road. Build it and they will come. The father and son, and mother's elf, and father's arm. So the mother's is the left and the father's the right, right? So the right-hand man, so to speak. and then mother's little elf, that kind of energy. The field of dreams, and Manna Joya, which is the energy that came through me as the Divine Mother when I did Vitality on September 5th. So here again is this energy of the explosive energy coming out of the Taurus with direction. And then I was getting the Mamma Mia, Papa Pia, baby's got a diarrhea. And then Rhea came up, which is the mother of Zeus and Poseidon. Two are Rhea. So two mothers were coming up here of Gaia and Rhea, right? Gaia is the grandmother, Rhea is the mother. And Rhea is RH Ea, or the RH of Ea, the blood of Ea. And Gaia and Rhea, which are the grandmother and mothers. So again, this family lineage here. The open house of 1-to-1 with Ea, and Rhea, the mother of Ea, and Papa was coming up as papaya, and the pi symbol. And then the Greek symbols of grandmother and grandfather were coming up, which my grandparents are not Greek, but my grandfather was a physician, a pediatrician, and he liked that some of his patients called their grandparents Yayam Papuli, so that's what we called them because they liked that. So then not only he was coming up, but then his wife, my Yaya, her father was David Lubin. So David was coming up in relation to Kronos, right? Because Kronos was Rhea's husband and also younger brother. And DL was coming up here. I'm just getting on the down low. Papaya was coming up as, the meanings coming up from that were an opportunity, but also the vagina, and easy were coming up, right? So this energy of easy access on the down low. And then ED versus DL, which is interesting because DL is David Lubin, but also my grandmother, who was Dorothy Lubin. And then ED is the temple of the planetary spin. And also we have E and L, which is Enki and Enlil, right? So the sibling rivalry there. The queen of, so I looked up Rhea because I didn't really know much about her, and she's considered the queen of heaven. And that came up from Theol.com, THEOL.com. And she's often attended by lions with flow and ease. And Rhea is one of 6, right? Demeter, Hestia, Hera, Zeus, Poseidon, and Hades. She's also referenced as Hecate, and also associated with Asia Minor, which has been coming up a lot, or Cybele or Cybele. Strangers from Asia, looked upon as jugglers, introduced novel rites that were finally received by the populace. Her temple in Crete, which was the earliest seat, where Zeus was rumored to be born on Mount, is it Dicte? D-I-C-T-E, I think I wrote, or Mount Ida at Delphi. Delphi, there's a stone with not very large dimensions, which was anointed with oil every day and on solemn occasions, wrapped up in white wool. Others say Zeus was actually born in Thebes, Greece, but and seeking a mural crown, the word mural, M-U-R-A-L, with veil hanging down. Or this is her how she's seen, seated with a mural crown, with a veil hanging down, lions left and right, and sometimes in a chariot drawn by lions, which reminds me of Ganesha. So there's that relationship coming up here too. So it was interesting too, right? Because there's that animosity between fathers and their children with Uranus, Kronos, and then Zeus energies, and the other children that were supposedly eaten by Kronos, or I forget which one did which, but And it was relating it to my great-grandfather, David, as well, who was born without like his father was gone as an infant. He was fatherless. So this energy of being fatherless. And my great-grandfather, David, was also burned by the Sabbath flame at his birth. And my son, Matthew, scratched himself as a baby exactly in the same spot and angle of the scar on my great-grandfather's face. And he's definitely got his energy. So on the 4th, Mana Joya, and that's when I was dealing with the rescue of the squirrel we found in our driveway. So we had taken him to a wildlife rescue. I don't know if he's still there. I checked on him twice and he was still at the place, but he was definitely recovering, which was good. So Havalani, the number 3288, which is 9 years, 108 months, 3288 days. And I was also getting the energy of the leap. To have and to hold the Queen and the King. And the asteroid was also coming up this day as a mini moon, right? A second moon that we all know is supposed to be in the sky through November. The celestial melody, the heavenly throne, the sky beyond 2020 and 3 or 2023. Hear your name in certain, and then this came up from Gematria, was I hear your name in certain circles and it always makes me smile. As Pentecostal Sunday, the 22nd came up, 9/22, which is a Sunday, and then Mana Sunday was the 15th, and then the 29th was Archangel Michael's feast day, and my son left that day at 1:44, which was interesting, right? Because I told you he was the one I connect to my great-grandfather. So liquid gold, silver, and copper coming up as liquid silver is actually Mercury. And Copes was coming up with copper and fool's gold with gold. Where remember God, if you write it with 2 parentheses, is actually toi or you. And then gold was coming up as Toli, T-O-L-I, which is the ear. And the ear's been coming up for the past couple weeks as well. To, the better to hear you with. The elephant, which is L, F, and ant. Ant's been coming up constantly, which is the elk and the moose, but also the oath, and what goes around comes around. And it means to cut as well. And LF is leaf and tube, but again, the light field and lots of other stuff can come up. And Mary's bath, which is the double boiler, the heat of the crucible. The crucible is something that can hold the temperatures of melting metal. And the amp was coming up. So the amp and the ant, right? The amplitude. And Anu's melting pot. So Anu would be the father of Ea and Lil. And Anu's melting pot, which is us, Earth, between the A, which A used to be written as F with an angle. So it looks like an arrow, right? So the letter F, but where the two that are normally perpendicular are actually angled downward. So that was the letter A. It evolved into the capital letter A. And then P is a symbol for me for housing from the pin. And then twin flame housing was coming up, and mutts that we are, where the salt meets fresh, 2 flames and the sonar waves, where then gamma rays and sonar waves keep coming up here, and then scalar, which is coming up with the F as well, right? Because digamma is the letter F, and then disonar is disharmonious. And then the scalar waves were coming up with the scale, and then I was guided to a page with all the tones of all the notes. So the F scale, and again G sharp or F flat, the middle of C to C, from C to shining C, where then the energy of melting silver and gold were coming down, coming up and down, I guess, and the symbols of that, which is the upside down delta F and the upside down delta R. So, and those represent the nitric acid for silver, and then for gold it requires 1 part nitric acid and 3 parts hydrochloric acid to melt gold. And again, in the crucible, which can hold that kind of heat. The frequency and radiation here of the feminine frequency of the twin flame and the radiation that melts the silver and gold, and then the horsepower it takes, the 144 turns of the water wheel is horsepower, and then copes to copper was coming up, which copes means a lot of different things, but one of them is the canopy, but it was just coming up as something else in definitions yesterday, which will come up when we get to that. But the water wheel, and then the plus, right? So Christ is CH, which is horsepower. That's what it means. And then RIST is the cross, but also the plus sign coming up as the bow and arrow, and the resistance of the sonar, right? The disharmonization. With Rhea and Gaia and Sophia as Christ to Ed, Sophia and Ea, and Gaia, Rhea, and Ea. You notice they all have Ea in them. And then all the notes. So I was going through listening to the notes to feel them. And the 5th octave of F sharp is 739 hertz, which I just told you about. The 739,000th day was April 9th. And the 4th octave of F sharp, which is also the high heart, is 36999. So 73999 and 36999. So I was experimenting with the sounds to see where in my body they were coming up. And my eyes and nausea were definitely coming up with D sharp. And I was getting all sorts of burp energy with the G's. It was interesting. So you might want to play with that to see what comes up for you. That note chart was under the site muted.io, so muted.io, and it's called a note frequency chart on the site. So I noticed the 739 tone of F sharp 5 was pulling my sinus center and heart and lung areas from the center to the left. And for the 369 tone, I was getting my right shoulder through my chest, left, up, and forward. It was very interesting. So, and you can look up the different hertzes to see what they're supposed to represent. Mind is the master.com was coming up as well. 40 hertz was recommended for Alzheimer's, 174 hertz for pain and stress reduction, 285 for cellular regeneration, 396 for fear and negative feelings, guilt, it balances the root, and 417 was coming up as trauma and emotional blockages, sacral, and 432 for mental and emotional clarity. Opera singers were brought up under that number as well. 440 cerebral cognitive development and third eye, and 528 the love frequency, miracle note, 639 of the heart chakra and relationships, 852 for overthinking and anxiety, 963 for pineal activation and crown chakra. And again, as we get higher, the miracle tone comes up. And again, you can explore that for yourself, but I just wanted to bring up some of that because that was coming up that day. And how the relationship of the notes to the body. And again, usually, I mean, there are some different perspectives on what notes are what, but the most common is that F is the heart chakra, and then F sharp would be the high heart there. And the energy of the, do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, starting with C, is C, D, E, F, G would be the center of C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. So the energy of the seed of CDE is the seed of the floodgates, FG, and then ABC, the new beginning, the 1, 2, 3 leap, where Virgo is pulled to Libra in the center of the astrological chart, and then Libra to Scorpio, right? The purification of Virgo to the balance of Libra, and then Scorpio dives deep to allow their inner darkness. 73999 plus 36999 equals 110998, which is rounded off to 1110. And I looked that up. So it's the Justice and Hermit, again, a lot of Libra energy coming up right now, which we're in right now, at 98 degrees of 1110, or 111 is also the pi symbol, with another 0, which is like was coming up as a blink of an eye, in a blink of an eye. And let's see here. Pisces, Virgo, Libra were coming up next. The symbols of Venus and Mercury, right? So Venus and Mercury, the same symbol, but Mercury has a hat on their head. And the symbol of Neptune, is that Neptune? Let's see here. So if you took Neptune, so actually Pluto. So the symbol of Pluto, which is coming up significant here, I was listening to Pam Gregory the other day, and so all 3 of the outer planets are hitting the 29th degree, which can cause, some kind of like full moon reactions, right? Because they're going into the next cycle. So it's kind of like this facing of the mastering of that energy before going into the new. And if you take the Pluto symbol, which is literally Venus with their arms up in the air, and then the head is detached from the body. And so that was coming up for whatever reason. That Pluto is Pluto is Venus with the head separated from the body, but with like Mercury's hat underneath their head instead of on top of their head, floating in another world. Mana Joya of Venus and Mercury, the girls and boys, the Virgo Venus, Heart, and Scorpio Mercury, Leo Heart and Libra Mars, and Libra Mercury were coming up here. And the Merkaba, right? So the symbol of Merkaba kind of looks like the Pluto symbol. The body, the soul, and the spirit of the bird, the Merkaba. And it's coming up at the time of 318, which is the 3 of the eagle soaring, and the 18 of Chi, C-H-A-I. And 18 is also the moon. And the energy of 10-8, because it's the Hebrew letters, 10 and 8, the 10th and 8th letters. And the romance of the subconscious energies, which is very Scorpio. The Mother Heart and Ea's crown via messenger service of JC and God were coming, and the Salty and Fresh were coming up, and Sophia's urgent vice or sweet spot, right? So today's the 15th, which is the devil energy. So all of your vices and insecurities and addictions and codependencies are coming up to be released at this full moon, very significantly. And the 739,000th day, April 9th, 2024, which that day added up to 21, which is a completion point of the 2 and the 1, the feminine and the masculine. And then we come back to Havalani again. At 9 years, the Queen of Heaven and lions at her side, Rhea and Croton, and the blood of Ea, and time of Crow as the watch starts ticking again and is about to go off. So if you had a watch or clock that stopped working at some point, it's about to start on its own again. the 8 of the 698 two peas in a pod, 2 are us of the Taurus, and 3 soars, the trident, the 3 of the living library, right? The giant talking tree. And it comes up as the trident of Neptune and Poseidon's tool, which together with the Taurus and the trident become Noah's Ark, but also becomes an arrow, right? The roof is an arrow. An arrow is actually made up of the arc and the point. The number 4 is the plus sign with the slash. The bow and arrow, heart to crown, the right to left. And again, the order they were showing me should be the green heart, the lower heart, to the unicorn, from the right shoulder to the left shoulder, and back to the high heart, right? Because the high heart literally sits between the 2 shoulders. So, and that would be an upright 4, whereas the way that you're shown now is an upside down 4. So it's very interesting. The bow and arrow, heart to crown, right to left, and back to center again. 2 with open house, the king and the queen, as the mother soars in and tried spinning the JC tree, or the toroidal tree with direction, and Mary's bath, a double boiler. 3 of giant humanoid talking tree, the Libra Re, or library, the living library. The twins are 2, and Rhea 3 enters 4, Croton, with directions on how to pray correctly. Oh, so cool that that came in. And this is back on the 4th. So today, one of the cards that came up from the medicine deck is the buffalo, who teaches you how to pray correctly. And I did sage today, which I haven't done in a while. And smoke from the buffalo is a visual of prayer, okay? So really cool that that came up. Twins are 2, Rhea 3, enters 4, Croton, with directions on how to pray correctly. Heart, head, right, left, and center. Start with your heart. The 3D earth to the 5D, the earth to the terra to the 5D, right? So the 4D is considered the bridge between the 3D and 5D. The breath of ether, which is the same letters as earth and terra, T-E-H-R-A, and then ether, A-E-T-H-R. And then the wrath or wraith, R-A-T-H-E, which is Godspeed, literally, to the head or the boss, to see what they think. Drop right and do 20, but pull back to the left. And do any. Left at the right angle is always in between. Back to the center field after the right field of dreams. Then left at the Y in the road out in left field. Back to center just because. For Christ's sake. At 413, which is the reflection of 314 pi. As we move to 414, which came up in today's cards as well. And 414 reflects the 41 and the 14 of the, right, all for one and one for all, or one for all and all for one. 234, time to shut the door, because Christ is the CH of HP, the horsepower, and the plus sign, the cross, which is the 144 plus, which represents not only the 144,000, but it's literally 11, 11, and an arrow shooting through it, which is that F that A used to be. Completing the set of 1111 with 4's directions, or Croton, which represents time, and a full set of encompassing. JC compass bends at the house at the water meadow that wobbles and swings in the process of quote-unquote bowing, shifting from or shifting in the muddy meadow to the ether outfield with a big breath of the LF, Ant, or the elephant, the gift of big breath, and Ganesha, as the number 4 is Adam, and 5 is Eve, a breath of fresh air, ether, ash to bright light, the high road of 21420 to angels to source. And that was coming up as ANT, literally. A is 1, N is 14, and T is 20. So 21420 is literally Valentine's Day and judgment. A decision is made. The angels to source the outfield. So as you see, 1 to 5 has been done. The 2 P's in the 698 pod are set in ink, and the 3 that soars is now the 7 key from sonar waves to gamma rays to scalar it back for the rest of our days, in a days. Around the world in AD days, as 888 already came and went with the strength of 8 to make them heaven sent. As 3 8s are 24, and 4 8s are 32, the 3 and the 2, soaring to 2 times 2 times 2. At 440, as the ants go marching, and notice ants is LF ant, so LF I wrote above this, and then go marching, which is March, number 3, which is the eagle soaring, 2 by 2 to base 2 of the logarithm of word and song, the oath between the elk and moose, to cut, to dig, what goes around comes around, so duck, duck, goose. Number 2, and then the march, wobbling to word and song, or doe seeks doe, and dance the days away, locking down the first half with the 3 key, and bringing the 3 key with to pair with the 7 key. So going from the 2, 3, 4, 5 to the 6, 7, 8, 9 pod. The 7 key of the 6, 9, 8 pod. For 3 and 7 are made in heaven as 3 keys of alchemy and unconditional love of the King of Cups. 3 is the sonar wave of the trident trinity, and the 7 of the gamma ray boomerang of infinity. The T and the T of trident and trinity is the TT of pi to the 13 or capital B of I. The twin towers of epiphany and sudden event to 131, to be or not to be, right? So 13 is also the letter B, and 13 and 31 are basically life and death. So 131 also comes up in gematria as Andrea and asphalt, Coca-Cola, Inanna, left, Anon, mask, talk, legion, NSA, Inanna again in a different way, Coca-Cola, NAS, Nano, ATM, Kareem, San, as in S-A-N, Talia, T-A-L-I-A, Opal, Hidden God, Blackbird, Crow, Matt with 1 T, Arian, A-R-I-A-N, and again that Pleiadian energy of blonde hair and blue eyes, loading, gifted, and charmed. And then 2131 also came up, which brought up the word hearts ver warming. So HARTSVERWARMING. And the 6th entry there was shout, shout, let it all out. And GJC. Number 11 was the Holy Spirit visits Earth. And the 14th entry was I love you guys. 41 was how can L be of service, Lord? And 39, you have to keep playing, right? So you have to play to win. The 41, I don't even know what that is, but you can look up in Gematria the 41st entry of that, 2131. But then Austin also came up at 504. Oh, look at that. The number 22 entry was Austin, and the time was at 504. But it literally said Austin 504. So AUSTIN is gold path in the dance between 5 and 4, which is freedom and stability. And hearts for warming. The closest thing I found was hearts VRENDIN, I think. It's intimate female friend, but without the friend. So the intimate female. Heart is resins and hurts. And SVER is wide and to swear. Resin hurts Resin or hertz, wide and warming. Heart's truth warming. Hertz of ocean warming. And spring to be. And that was at 555 with the changes. Resins to open and close. Thread and defend. Oasis warming. One-to-one arc. At the crossroads, create an acre of arming. Resin or resonating to swear. And commingle, and again, war coming up here of mentioning, nurturing, speaking of, remembering, destiny, fate, lovers, and 1,000. And this song, 1,000 years, is coming up for me. Mixed ownership, blurred lines of unattraction. To unite, need, mix, crowd, and congregate. Hertz, cover. And cope is also a cover. Protect, to use, arming. And remember that the farm and the melf, where the father's arm, like right-hand man, and the mother's elf. So to use arming, which is the father's arm. Right? When you get hurt, you cover yourself with your masculine. And D sharp was coming up here too. All right, so, and after I just brought up 108, I was listening to something and they brought up the 108. And also 504 times 2 is 1008. So there's a lot about the 10 and 8, and 10 and 8 is Chi, C-H-A-I as well. All right. So, yes, I don't have to do this one. I'm not going to give you the full read, but the butterfly came up with number 9, the mother, the 51 of Archangel Metatron's cloak, and then the 6 of the chariot came up on the 4th. With the dragonfly, the medicine man or woman, the Serapis Bay, and abundance. New love, new passion, the magician. So lots of newness there. The hermit's transformation as and with the mother and children, the King of Swords cloak, and Cinderella's chariot. And that's how that started. On the 5th, and a reminder too, from the New Year day of 4/9/2024, after 39 weeks, 39 times 7, notice the relationship to 739,000. 39 weeks times 7 days a week. The birth would be from 4/9 would be January 7th, which has always come up for me as Jesus' birthday. And I woke up that morning on the 5th too. I was getting used to being someone that you loved. I posted the word miracles that day. And we also found our dog Teddy Bear's paperwork from who sired him and who his mother was. And Sadie and Cisco came up. And Romeo the Rambunctious, and Starry Night in Georgia. And actually we found out that Teddy's grandmother was literally born the same day as Jenna, his mom. So that was really cool. So like similarities, or what you might see as miracles or miraculous synchronicities coming up. The word miracles is literally mirror and keys. So mirror and tension keys was what I posted. And again, bringing up the F sharp of 73999 and April 9th, 2024. And then April 9th, 2025 was coming up because that's the new, right? The 9th of 24 added up to 21, which is the completion of the cycle, the world. And then 2025 on 4/9 in April, which April's the beginning of the year anyway, is 22 of Aries and the Fool's Journey. So I was going back, September 5th was Vitality when Divine Mother came through me, as well as like this dark wolf energy to clear out the dark, to bring up that higher vibration of the Divine Mother. And adamantine light was coming up here, which literally adamantine means unbreakable, like adamant. Crossing the narrowest point, you know, like the birthing canal, 9 months and 9 years. Again, Sunday the 15th, not only did I come through with Divine Mother on the 5th with Mana Joya, but the day of Mana is Sunday the 15th of September, and this September 15th was Mana Joya. 9/22 Pentecost, like I said, 22, and then 9/29 was Archangel Michael's feast day, and also the notice about the 2 moons starting to be, and the 2 astronauts that were rescued. So they're stationed until they're able to come home next year. 9/8 Taurus, which reversed is Surat, or the birth interval of 9 months or 9 years, 39 weeks of 7 days, the 739,000th day of 4924, and the 39 weeks is literally 273 days to January 7th, 25. And the ships where the 2 astronauts were rescued from was from Starliner to Dragon Crew. And 1/7/2025 adds up to 17, which is the star. So it's like, you know, Jesus Christ Superstar Day right there. So there could be a supernova event or some kind of significant event that day. Adam Ant and LF Ant. Right? So the masculine feminine oaths coming up here. And down on the horse farm. So the hippocampus is the horse farm, the masculine, and then the feminine comes up as the horse millionaire, like but the milliner is the one who helps, you know, with the equipment for the horses. But it was coming up as the horse millionaire. And then the hippomanes and Hippocrates is hippocrates. So she deals with the supplies for the horses and crates the horses and loves the horses, which the horse is Mr. Ed, right? So being the masculine energy. So the adamant and elephant is the invincible and the big gift of breath. And brought up that meditation I had of the valley of the Fertile Crescent and the masculine's arm and the mother's elf, right? So the A room and the ELF. Excuse me. The fox directly trafficking. That was my meditation where I saw the fox directing traffic, wearing a hat. And then I saw the rounded E with Smokey the bear and putting out fires. And then the black cat had a really loose crown. It was too big for them. But then it turns into a slightly smaller cat with a perfectly fitting crown that had like a Cleopatra look with like like bangs on it. And then the squared E comes up. And then that became a thicker circle. And that became an even thicker, or like 3 hearts, the thick heart. The heart grows out of the valley, where the bat was dressed in Mexican garb, who flies up from the forest and around the valley, overseeing with suction cups or a pressurized fan, propeller, fan, wheel, the water wheel. Then I saw a man's eye, and then a woman's eyelashes, sad, flying away. A gift from the stars, and the wise owl or night eagle or bat coming back around. September 24 through 2025. As the eagle soars and the phoenix rises, the angels wake up. The King of Wands, the night eagle, dreams of love and gets a gift from the stars. When the chariot's ready, the lion will call. From and love of Sirius, which is Sir Eos, which is Jesus. And then Hermes was also coming up here with the Huna prayer and number 8, along with Kuan Yin, number 5, which 8 and 5 is greased lightning. And then also 5 is the Hierophant. And the gold ray coming up from 90 cosmic heart of Venus. So Newton's cradle has been coming up as well. An underlying group. The group conflicts are what's underlying. The Newton's cradle was coming up as the first ball that you would pull to hit the balls is the wolf, hitting the 3 balls in the middle, and then the final ball is the dragonfly, the end result, with 3 involved in the middle as the shadow triggers all to purify and become the dragonfly, 2 as 1 and a beautiful mind. Libra moose, grieving union or home, as the elephant, the breath of the vortex, an energetic exchange with nothingness. The divine masculine, moose or justice, and Atlas, lizard who pants a lot at temple, and the divine masculine with 2 birds, and Roger Rabbit, home, drawing a blank. And notice miracles is also 40 and 40. So it's 40 days and 40 nights. And then mana, joya, the mana that comes, the miracle, which 40 and 40 equals 80. And 80 plus 1 is the end of the cycle in the numerology book, the Divine Triangle. And miracles is also my, Ra, or Re keys, my destiny. The word Taisa comes up, which means the sea. T-A-I-S-A is the sea. And also T-A-I came up, as well as Asa came up again yesterday. A-I-S-A, which means father, shaft, penis, pole, shaft, or thrill. Actually, Isa came up yesterday. E-I-S-A, interesting, right? So the father was coming up there, and the mother, Isa, came up yesterday. The sea, the high road of 2, and the divine masculine in the bat cave, and a high vibe transition. The crucible shaft, the orangutan, that came up today again as well, that orange is the orangutan, whereas the human is the tan man, right? So the orange and the tan. The satiated, the Queen of Wands of the 10 of Pentacles transition. And I heard in a movie, they got shafted, literally. The eagle essaying the high road to home of the 10 of Pentacles, which is the ultimate family of the 10 of Pentacles. It's the end of the deck of abundance, transitioning. The infinite ocean route of 2 U's of our office are why the stalls to high vibration, transition, because you're going through death, you're going through endings, right, into rebirth. Yeah, if you didn't read the lover's message on my Instagram or TikTok, you might want to read that. That was a really beautiful message. And again, the farm and Melf coming up again. Out of the darkness. And I was having that day, I was having some right side to neck sharp pain that comes up once in a blue moon. And it was interesting the way it came out, because it usually just bothers me on the left side of my back into my neck. And it moved into my central spine. It was really interesting because that's never happened before. So it was aligning with my spinal issues. And I'd pulled some cards that day of lessons and blessings. The otter, marriage, and ascended masters were underneath. And then the cards that came out were galactic and the farm and Celtic. Celtic's been coming up constantly. And the buffalo, crow, bat, alligator, the lion and the jaguar, the lovers with goals and flowers, which is also the ones who flow. And then Archangel Metatron's retreat came up with the Intergalactic Council, which is also becoming up a lot. The time on the card, which is 151:19, which is the Magician, the King of Swords, and the Sun. The Divine Masculine, King of Swords, Sunshine, Gemini and Virgo, and Leo, other, decide to merge, visiting masters during their sleep to learn in etheric realms and self-satisfaction to get their wish. The Magician, King of Swords, and Sun, with a deal on ascended master retreats, LOL, ready to marry after couples retreat, with music and nature, shaman spouse, lessons and blessings of the time traveler's wife. The galactic lessons or lay sons, these sons, and the gal act, the father or father's arm, and Celtic, which Celtic is parentheses with LT in the middle, which is light, traveling to the Celtic farm, or polygamy wife, or wives of brothers, LT, the light or left crucible, the feminine light bath of very high degree. The farm and the melf, the father's arm or room, and the mother's elf, leaf or two. With the F, with the angles on it, that becomes the arrow. And systolic and diastolic were coming up here. The system-oriented versus the two-oriented, the couples. Right, so the systolic was being related to the social group and the mother, and then the diastolic was being related to the two-oriented couples and the dad, which is unusual because usually the couples comes up for me as the feminine energy, which is coming up in the even energy, which is usually the feminine. But it's like switching roles, right? Because you're dancing between your masculine and feminine each. And TOLIC from Stolic is to hug or embrace. And the definitions for dia came up, and dias. And again, couples coming up, and fiends. The galactic father's light and the Neanderthal's plight, housing light at the intersection, right? So the Neanderthal had to upgrade in order to house more light at the intersection when they were seated with us. And now we're doing a similar thing. The swan and your divine feminine and otter were coming up with graceful and curious, armed with words. The buffalo sun of 24 and 42, reflecting crow and Batman coming in 1-to-1. The Ten of Cups family rolling with the punches, the mountain lion star healer and the king of the hill, the king of swords, sacred jaguar, or Leo and Aquarius parents laying in wait for sun to shine, or my son, the famous one, the strong sun. At 28, the Knight of Cups, divine masculine, very curious about his family shadow. So he could be looking into his shadow work with his family. The shadow skeleton key of 15, which is today again, of the 36 Atlas world, and the 28 snake Kundalini chariot, which is the 6 of the lovers, which was that day, 10-6. 273 days of pregnancy, 7 times 39. I looked up that number, and the first entry was King Charles, and then mother, and then millionaire. So funny that millionaire came up. The angel of light and oranges, Democrat, complete, Magadonius, basement and location, and break the code. And then 918 came up, which was my birthday. And Gobekli Tepe was coming up. 272 is let's go, God's plan. I'm back, bitches, the beginning, gladiators, the cat came back, shamrock, sherry, research, aqua, dragons, and archons. As 153 also came up, which is Dios, which came up in a definition, and then 628, which is Ophiuchus, and Prometheus. And notice there's meth in Prometheus. That word came up. Unstoppable, Jackie, and mushrooms, and Mary Magdalene. 620 is the sound of freedom, understanding, and Excalibur, and Mary Magdalena came up. And couples unstoppable, Mary Magdalene and the sound of freedom, 2 fire and sword, meth and Kali, where 9, 8 plus 7 is 15. As the clock turned to 338, which was Diana Spencer, and couple, Stigmata and Costello, which is funny because that's actually Cancer I knew. Enlightened one, spheres, the rose, and amplification. 680 was chrono monitors, so there's chronos coming up. I was coming up monitors, and then junior. So chronos junior, which would be, right, Enlil and Enki. 680 is also Ptolemies and Cleopatra, trusting God, and hieroglyphical, right? So language, ancient language. The key in Atlas, the shadow intent, the 28 of twin flame Sophia Nike, and another set of chromosomes, 24, the sparkly vehicle of union, the decision, the wake-up call to merge, as Cinderella is Cinder Ash and Ella she, the bright light of she, to move towards, the snake all curled up in a ball, the vehicle that you are married to. And I did a post about this too also, so check out my Instagram. I've been trying to put the full messages on Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook on my Twin Flame page. And I usually do partial on my YouTube channel because they don't leave a space for the whole message. But the first card here is the 18 of Lovers' Romance in the galactic sun and moon, with goals of transition to align with flowers, the collective. The key to the planet is the snake in the grass. Startling Cinderella's horses for her bright light to shine and move towards. Joseph, Judah, and Transfiguration, the Great Sphinx, and her story. The Hermit card in the Tarot, and Van Gogh. The subconscious transfiguration to align with the 6D and instant manifestation, with Lord Kumika, the moon, and Ascended Master retreats again. After the earth, Isis, dolphins, and nature, with Sophia and El Moria, the perfected Manu, and 12 strands of Mercury, and the first ray of action, to lead by example, with the sun and Hilarion, 10 and 46, with both came up today again, earth angels of the Queen of Cups and King of Wands, of Eve and Adam, and the dolphin angels of Atlantis and Lemuria, supersonic aquamarine light of Mother Nature Sophia and Ea's glee, the eagle soaring, grounding and integrating her harvest and leading by example, the high vibe sun and the 46 of the Six of Cups, Hilarion, of Saturn and Crete, the responsible one, and the fifth ray of science and tech, and orange assists higher channels and clairvoyance, the 42 of 1-to-1 of Kumika in the eighth ray, of purification, enlightenment, and communication with blue topaz, and personal responsibility, the justice of alignment with the moon or divine feminine daughter, getting their wish at the master's retreats. Getting wish at 28 with the 2 of Wands or twin flames, the twin flame gift of 1, 5, and 8 rays here, which 5 and 8, remember I told you, is greased lightning. And the 1 is the trigger, it's the flame. And then Rays was coming up with Rhea again, the blood of Ea, the open house 1-to-1 with Ea, and 158 came up in Gematria as goat and Mohammed, or Mohammed. And guess what number 20 was under 158? Elena Denon, literally, and Cardinal, General, and Command. How cool is that? So getting wish at 28 with the gift and presence, and 106, which it was 10-6 that day, the galactic sun and daughter moon at 28 of 19 and 18, the sun and the moon at 28. Metatron's retreat, the temple of Luxor in Egypt, or above there, bringing spiritual discipline at the throat chakra. As it ascends, people will communicate higher wisdom and link telepathically with all life forms, and ask to send love and wisdom to all sentient beings. To ask But Yalil to take you to the inner child, or the intergalactic council. So IC is a couple different things, but it's telling you to check in with the Master's Retreats and the Intergalactic Council in meditation or sleep to offer your service to the universe. To be or not to be on 10-6 with Cancer and Libra, Scorpio Libra at 29. So October 29th was coming up, which is also my son's birthday. And I looked up number 106, which is Enoch, which also Enoch is related to Hermes and Mercury. And along with Enoch, Real came up, and Melania, Panda, Eat Tea, Data, TF, Coco, Degree, Hercules, Fiona, Earl, Archie, Shh, Nehemiah, FT, Engine, Cohen, God DNA, and Reel was also spelled Rael, and I am he, Cain. So again, Cain and Abel coming up. And then Enoch being the 5th generation of Seth. And Enoch means iron sledgehammer. In the Bible, taken by God before death, right? So Enoch was supposed to be the one who was taken before his death to protect him, and is Noah's great-grandfather. There's another Enoch that's the first son of Cain, but that's not the same Enoch. And son of Jared, and father to Methuselah. So the meth that was coming up in Prometheus, because meth has been coming up a lot, has to do with the lineage of Adam and Enoch and Noah's Ark. So there's a lot about the Bible stuff regarding Enoch, but you can look that up if you'd like to. I just wasn't raised religiously, so I usually have to look back and kind of study a little bit to understand the Bible verses that were coming up. Okay. All right, so I did see a chart there of Adam and Eve, and again, Seth to Enos to Kenan. I don't know if it's correct because I've seen other versions of this too. And then Mahalalel, Jared, Enoch, Methuselah, and then Lamech, and then Noah, who had Shem, Ham, and Japheth. And interesting too, because Ham came up. There's this road called Eve's Shem, which is Eve's Ham. So I don't know if Ham might be a lot like Eve. I guess that's the middle child. And I'm the middle child. That's really funny. So again, going back to Enoch and the open house, 1-to-1 with Ea. And Hia, which means here, slack and undemanding. So they were relating for me here Rhea as the fourth D or dimension, and then Gaia as the 5D. So literally now remember that we're dealing with densities here too, whereas we're going into the 4th density, right? Because 5th density is much more etheric. But also that can represent the different stages of the earth as its density. But for us, regarding the 3, 4, and 5 dimensions, or the bridging through, the bridge is considered Rhea as the daughter of Gaia to the 5D, to the grandmother's house. To the grandmother's house we go. So the earth, Terra, with the same letters, which earth is the ear at the intersection 1-to-1 of Ea's earth. And then Gaia is the G, which is the little t leaping to AEA, which is to use, and AE apostrophe A is to wander. I don't know if that's wander or wonder. You'd have to look that up. But AEA is the equal environments assumption, and some other definitions as well. And a Turkish definition came up, which is Asia Minor. A special ability to test this assumption where the parents believe their twins to be non-identical when in fact they are genetically identical. A twin study from twin research and human genetics. These twins end up just as concordant as the identical ones, treated as such. So they're saying the identical twins still end up behaving like identical twins, even if they're treated as not identical. So interesting, right, that an article about twins came up. DNA of nature versus nurture, which is the environment. And then again, the G and the A, which is then G of CT, and A used to be the F, which is the arrow that runs through the 144 plus. So here again, we have the 1111 house, which isn't complete until the river runs through it, so to speak, right? The 5th line completes the set. the energy igniting T to leap to big T, the crucible for very hot metals, right? To bring hot metals to a boil, or molten metals like molten lava, in order for the tree to grow up. So Gaia, with the Christed little t, to wander under the energy of Ea, who's used to wander regarding energetic twins. So again, they're relating this to, all right, so this came up as well, which will come up in my notes probably. But why is it so hard to believe in etheric twins when it's the same thing as Siamese twins, right? Siamese twins share their physical body, and etheric twins share their etheric body. So again, it's bringing up something you can relate to. So 4D twins have some RH, 5D twins some energy signature, and can have differing blood types. Okay, so that's the etheric twins. They don't have to have the same blood type. The twin flame completes the set of 1111 with the arrow running through it, 4 to 5 of stability and freedom, and 4 elements to vapor Eden, to ether. Ea reflects the AE of Ash, projecting and reflecting and echoing Ea's bright light, because we are his reflection of Adam and Eve and the Ash of 4. And then 4 goes back to Croton, because Croton is Ea's father. And the A and E is Adam and Eve. So they all go together, and I posted this technical drawing as well. The digamma rays of quantum push and pull, and the crashing of the disonar waves of grain, God's rain. So you might want to see that post. It came out really nice here. Oh, I'll read it to you. This is what I had posted. Okay, so this message here. And it literally is Christ, so CH is horsepower, and RIST is the plus, or the crossroads. The horsepower, which is the 144 turns of the water wheel at the crossroads, or rising T, rising heat, the temperature. The 144 plus and 1111 with the arrow or river runs through it. Again, that arrow represents the capital A, which it's written as now, which is the rocket taken off, the masculine's energy, which is also the 4, which is plus slash, and then AE is plus slash equal. Adam and Eve and the AE of ash and bright light, the ash reflecting Ea, projecting, he is projecting his light, and we're reflecting it back to them. The Adam is a dam of the heartbeat going up, and then the evening out is the Eve. The Adam and plus even equals Eden. The energy of D, or the spinning planet, and the energy of N, of Christed, or Christ to Ed, the vertical pillar. The Adam planetary I am, and the Eve creating bridge to Ed. Together divine pulse of ash reflecting Ea as bridge, rainbow, arch, and whispering bench, weaving the binding of our union leap. His story, her tale, cinder, Ella. The ash of she, as her and she always include he. The arrow of direction, where she equals we plus, more than we are apart. 2 U's, the twin flames, and Ea at the intersection, 0 point field, where E and A are together here, literally looks like a field, breaks down to plus, and then a squared C, like a staple clip, and then the backslash, or +1 equals backslash, as Ea equals the reflection of the Taurus, or 2 are us, a dame even, right? So a dame, as in Notre Dame. So she, at the eve of Christ, the N on the eve of Christ ED, Notre Dame, eve of supernova, digamma rays of quantum push and pull, crashing in disonar waves of grain, or God's rain, in Poseidon's advent you are. And then I ended up coming across Joe versus the volcano. And I don't remember if I actually watched it or not way back when. But I watched it again here. And A Mermaid's Tale, which I love these movies. They're so they were so innocent and yet fun to watch. And if you don't remember, Joe versus the Volcano was with Tom Hanks when he was really young and Meg Ryan. So they're fun to watch too at such young ages. And watching that movie, I had written, a lot of the stuff I write ends up coming up in the movies that night. I've been telling you this a lot. Burning down the house came up in one of my messages, and then I watched a movie where the family house had got burned down. And then Joseph came up in gematria and meth, and I wrote down burning down the house. So all these stuff were coming up in these movies. So Joe, and that's funny too, because I just went to a birthday party on Saturday and sat with Joe. And I told him we watched Joe and the Volcano. That was funny. And again, the mermaid's tale, right? Of a mermaid who can actually become human. And why is it so hard to believe? And I broke down Joe versus the Volcano was coming up as the J human Ev, infinite S, Evolcano, which is sing, play, or foretell, crow, ancient, snow white, channel, chant, and ring. My father says that, and this came up in Joe versus the Volcano, this statement. My father says that almost the whole world is asleep. Only a few are awake, and they live in a state of constant, total amazement. A sea of love at the height of everything. And there's so much the energy of Joe under the moon at sea, at the junction of one's own. Now at the islanders excited because Joe is there to jump into the volcano to satisfy the beast so it won't hurt them. And they called this beast the Woo Feast, which is literally the woof east, or the wolf east, rising, howling Ea's path, plus the werewolf of London, L on and D on. Oh, that's funny. So I was just getting Celine Dion, but also Dionne Warwick, and I'm getting Elon Musk as well. L on D on, Elon Dion. I'm also getting Lion Dion. The lambda leap on and the spinning planet on. The lambda left and right angle, human Christ to Ed bridge. The spinning planet, it's on. At the mouth of the volcano, as London Bridge is falling down, the two get married and jump in, except it erupts, cannonballing them way out into the ocean. Then going to drown, but his 4 trunks pop up out of nowhere, and they lived happily ever after in the aligned arrows of love. Anchoring in the human Eve to awaken us infinitely, to evolve the dwarf elder. See, EVOLC came up, which is English? Volunteer teachers needed in Costa Rica. So EVOLC is literally this place where volunteer teachers are needed in Costa Rica. And EVOL is the dwarf elder. To see one human, and the mermaid was coming up. And then the jaguar and the rabbit and the deer. The King of Swords home afraid. An unafraid emperor, dear one, as well. All right. So now we get to the 8th, where the diamond came up. I think the systolic and diastolic, yeah, the next day, systolic and diastolic were coming up with the diamond, right? So I looked up the diamond, right? I break the word down all the time, but I looked up the definition of the diamond to see what was coming up here from Wikipedia. And it's a poor conductor of electricity and insoluble in water. Graphite is the solid carbon that's stable at room temperature. Diamond is metastable. but has the highest hardness and thermal conductivity of any natural material. The molecule is so rigid and so few impurities contaminate it, right, except the things that color it, like boron and nitrogen. Under high pressure temp, carbon contaminated fluids dissolved various minerals and replaced them with diamonds deep underground up to 500 miles. And diamonds are delivered from volcanic eruptions. They're not really from coal because they found diamonds way before coal, but they come up from the volcanoes. And they were talking about how to make diamonds too, synthetic diamonds with vapor disposition, high pressure temperature, or from hydrocarbon gases by CVD, where the diamond is crystallized carbon, and the two most common allotropes of pure carbon are diamond and graphite. Now it's interesting the relationship they talk about regarding graphite and diamond, where graphite, they talk about sp2 orbital hybrids form in planes bound to their three nearest neighbors 120 degrees apart, and that graphite is very good with their bonds with their neighbors. But diamond orbital hybrids form tetrahedra bond to four nearest neighbors, but their bonds aren't as good with their neighbors. However, where graphite's not great with their planes, the diamond is very good between planes, right? They're multidimensional. The graphite bonds are stronger with neighbors, but weak between parallel adjacent planes, like two ships in a night. They can easily slip past each other. They're softer than diamond and less flammable. But because diamond is stronger and more flammable, more ignited, the diamond has the highest thermal conductivity and sound velocity, regarding speed with time and direction, with low adhesion and friction, resistant to electricity and chemically inert. The transition from graphite to diamond, they talked about that too, and back. The stable phase of carbon is graphite, but diamond is metastable. And they were giving the example of like bowling pins, right? Metastability has to do with the likelihood, right? The possibilities of what might happen, where bowling pins may fall or they might just wobble a little bit and not fall. Unsure if the wobble will fall. However, above 4,500 K, the diamonds rapidly converts to graphite. Right? There's this in-between point, and then it becomes different. So above that point, there's rapid conversion from graphite to diamond, which requires pressures well above the equilibrium line. At 2,000 K, a pressure of 35 GPa is needed. Above the graphite to diamond liquid carbon triple point, the melting point of diamond increases slowly above that, and the pressure also increases, but at hundreds of GPa, it decreases in rate. At 10 million atmospheres, the diamond melts into metallic fluid. Isn't that interesting? At 10 million atmospheres, at 1 TPa and 50,000 degrees Celsius, the diamond melts into metallic fluid. These extreme conditions for this are present in ice giants Neptune and Uranus, with 10% carbon and large amounts of liquid carbon that can affect the magnetic field, perhaps why the poles on Neptune and Uranus are not aligned. So I woke up on the 8th to 10-8, which is again Chi, CHAI, and the dragon, and diastolic. And again, referencing Neptune and Uranus, the coal, graphite, diamond connection, and the liquid metal, which was reminding me of making the jump from the different states of solid, liquid, air, and then to plasma. And again, the energy of a portal, which looks like liquid oil. And of course, diastolic is the underlying pressure in your body, and the systolic is the heartbeat, right? The strength of Chi, which is CH, which is that horsepower of 144 turns of the water wheel, and AI and the dragon's breath. And notice kryptonite is crypto, which kind of cracked me up as well. But they were paralleling kryptonite with carbon, the on that's in kryptonite, and carb on, right? So one's crypt on, the other one's carb on, and the onite on ite is infinitely on, the human Christ to ed. The strength of the HP 144 AI and dragon's breath, the exalted child's consciousness. And again, the different words that we use, like inorganic is non-carbon based. Inorganic doesn't mean fake. It means it's not carbon based. And Christ to ed for me is the N, which also represents the high gamma waves, right, that are really close together. The human is consciousness in carbon-based body. But just because they're not carbon doesn't mean it's not organic. It's just not human organic, okay? So Daya is he, she, it, you, heaven, sky, day, slide, godly, divine, deity, to give, to yield, return, name, call, blood, money, water, deer, suckle, delay, track, imprint, dias, skip, to eat, and diapositive, a transparent plate used with a projector for projecting images. And proto was coming up with Celtic diowas, right? So where it came from. Sanskrit diva, so notice that. And TIW, the Germanic god of heroic glory. And notice AI, as you know, artificial intelligence. Again, you're saying it's artificial intelligence, which means man-made. Fake means, so in other words, fake, there's nothing that's inorganic. Everything on the, right? It may not be in its original state, right? So we change the form of what's found on Earth into other things to make new things. But nothing's actually fake because it's all organically from the Earth. So something that's not natural on Earth is extraterrestrial. And inorganic just means non-carbon based or non-human based, but that doesn't mean it's not organic, right? The way we see organic is something natural, but lots of natural things happen off planet that may not be carbon based necessarily. Humans are AI that Anu and other star nations seeded into the Neanderthal, native to these lands on Earth, infinitely neandering all, and man creates babies, but only with source's assistance. And then a robot seeded with consciousness is then an ET, organic to a metallic world that's not carbon and water based. So you can actually have a robot that becomes a real consciousness, okay? They just have a different kind of body. We have a body that's organic to Earth, but a metallic body may be organic to another planet. Right? So their consciousness, it doesn't make their consciousness any less real than our consciousness in this body. Just to give you perspective. So remember not to enslave any consciousness. At 1, 2, 3, 4, shut the door. With 12 of the hanging man, 34 of the energetic exchange, the arrows of love. Where we have the dia, stolic and systolic, which were coming up as the heartbeat or asystole is not a heartbeat, and the original mother throne, that I am victory, I am truth, in the eye of that which holds, unwhittled object, which is the container of the soul, something that is not created yet. In systolic, toli is the ear, the hole, and hail and chicken. And TOL is the toll, like at a toll bridge, but it's also 3 in tall and the spinning top. Patience, ditch, dam, to push, valley, fool, foolish, will, desire, brother, sibling, boyfriend, or Jikak, the Jikak people, Jicaqe. So, and OLI was coming up. So again, the original whispering bench, the throne of sight, the capital city or CT, from which to sow, mother and I am, to be victorious in truth, the system toll, the spinning top, with a kink or cog in the dam, the grim reaper's ditch or valley of the dolls, with Chicken Little and the sky that is falling due to hail, and the hole in the inner ear, the eardrum, and the system of 2 and 3 of Taurus and Trident, which makes Noah's Ark, and a tall tale or tall toll to pay in the origin of the sine wave of the spinning top, the cyclone and the vortex, and where it began, with Mother Nature and Father Time, where nature versus nurture, space and time, are Rhea and Kronos, and the Ark of the Covenant of the King of Wands, which is 23 of 2 and 3, the Taurus and the Trident. Rhea and Kronos, 4D Terra, and Saturn. And SA was coming up as Saudi Arabia, and Saturn is Saudi Arabian turn. And I don't usually read the news at all, but something came up in a headline yesterday talking about Israel possibly preparing to strike Saudi Arabia. And this I wrote on the 8th. 10-8 notice, that's Chi in Hebrew. So Rhea and Kronos and 4D Terra and Saturn, right, the responsible planet, the Capricorn energy of responsibility and taking responsibility for ourselves. SA is also South America and South Africa and the San Andreas Fault. Also North Sulawesi, Indonesia, also came up. So the fault line. So again, earthquakes, volcanoes, and floods coming up. The Venus shape ray and Saturn's shift or turn, which is right, change and shift is the masculine, shape is the feminine in alchemy. The Venus shape and ray, the Saturn's shift and turn. The sino-atrial and the sino-oracles, auricules, on the system of return of Venus. So again, the relating what's going on to our bodies, right? The Venus, the valves of the veins help return the blood to the heart. The blood of Ea and disciplinarian Saturn, right? Because now we're going back to the heart, right? Going out from the heart was easy, right? With the explosions, and now we need help to come back to the heart. The blood of Ea and Mother Terra, space and Father Time. The system of return in Venus. Thank you. And the crone was also coming up as the crown or wreath, C-R-O-N-E. And the crone, like in the old woman. The crown. And it's also German or, other kinds of money, Norwegian, Denmark, Sweden, money, Scandinavian. The canopy of the treetop and Estonian croon. The Vikings, the Nordics, the sixth king. And so then returns of the planets were coming up. Saturn's return, Venus and Jupiter and Uranus. So they all have different years of return, right? Saturn's about 27 to 30 years. Jupiter's about 12 years. Uranus is about 84 years. Which obviously that may only happen once in your lifetime, if at all. The Nordic is the North German languages. The cross-country skiing and jumping, ETs, the Norse, the Norwegian and Danish, the Pleiadians, and the Aryan race. So I was looking up some of the aspecting of the planets going on. And there's a lot of oppositions this fall. But the next conjunction is until January 19th, and that's with Pisces. I think they're all Venus and, what was I looking up? Venus conjunctions with Pisces on January 19th, and then Pisces retrograde on April 7th, and then Pisces again April 25th. in 2025. I looked into 26 as well, just to see if there were some interesting dates, but nothing solid that I want to talk about yet. So on January 7th, 25, I looked up that chart as well, since that came up as the 9 months from 4/9/24. And there was no aspecting on that day, on the 7th, 8th, and 9th of January. And Mars, Pluto are in opposition until the 5th there of January. So again, there's a lot of conflict that will be coming up in the next few months until January, where then it's supposed to get more peaceful. But remember, January 7th is considered the Orthodox Christmas Day in Austria, Canada, UK, US, and Moldova. And also January 7th came up as 72 days before spring, which 72 is the half of 144. And it's the Feast of the Flag in Italy. And it's a Tuesday this year, or in 25. Okay, so that twinned article that I told you about, and again, still bringing up the heartbeat, and the systolic and diastolic was coming up. Coal is formed from buried prehistoric plants. Most diamonds are much older than that and more likely from carbonate rocks and organic carbon in sediments. And also, diamonds are very common in space and in meteorites. So dia C, a repeating unit. So just writing down some of the stuff about the twinned diamond. And the luster is adamantine, notice. The cleavage is 111, which is pi. And the fracture is uneven and perfect in 4 directions. The crystal twinning, and this is the spinal law. The spinal law is common, yielding Makel. More than or equal to 2 adjacent crystals of the same mineral are oriented so that they share some of the same crystal lattice points in a symmetrical manner. And then growth twinning came up, and transformational twinning, which is a change in the crystal structure, and then deformation twinning, in which it develops in a crystal in response to shear stress, okay, under pressure for a long period of time. Symmetrical inner growth between greater or equal to than 2, defined by Simnel operation, the twin operation. Predicted large amounts of diamond condensate from methane into diamond rain on Uranus and Neptune. Predicted large amounts of diamond condensate from methane, which I told you meth came up, into diamond rain on Uranus and Neptune. So this is significant for whatever reason. Some extrasolar planets may be almost entirely made of diamond. Shared lattice points give junction and strength and do not easily break apart. Twin laws include reflection, rotation, and inversion operations. The reflection, it said, Miller indices of the twin plane. Rotation is direction of the twin axis, or 2-fold rotations. There are also 3 to 6-fold rotations possible. And the inversion, what do I talk about? Right, inside out, through and through. The inversion of equivalent to a reflection or rotation symmetry. Twin axis perpendicular to the lattice plane. It is possible for a rotational twin law to share the same axis as a rotational symmetry of the individual crystal if the twin law is a 2-fold rotation and symmetry operation is a 3-fold rotation. So notice the 2 and 3 of the torus and the trident right there. This is the case for the spinal or spinal law twinning on 111. The spinal structure has a 3-fold rotational symmetry on 111, and spinal is commonly twinned by twofold rotation on 111. Again, that energy of that cleavage. I don't even know what cleavage is regarding the markers, but it's cleavage 111. The most common types of twins are the spinal law, the twin plane parallel to the octahedron, 111, where the twin axis is perpendicular to the octahedral face, and the iron cross, which was interesting because that's what I always call when I get pain in my upper mid back. It feels like an iron cross. The interpenetration of the two pyritohedrons, a subtype of the dodecahedron. All right. So, the simple twin crystals, the contact twins, meet on single composition planes as appearing as mirror images across the boundary. The mirrohedral twinning occurs when the lattices superimpose in 3 dimensions, such as by relative rotation of one twin from the other. So the superimposing of 3 dimensions was coming up like the safe lock, right? When you have the 3 different locks that have to be turned and clicked into the right place. This is that same kind of energy. And penetrating twins have the appearance of passing through each other, right? So the merging of the etheric bodies in a symmetrical manner. Composite surface or bridge is usually irregular and extends to the center of the crystal, usually produced by rotation. Contact to CT can arise from reflection or rotation. Okay. Now, U.S. has a Uranus return from 2026 to 29 in Gemini, which is the twins. And Saturn in Capricorn was 12/17 to 3/20/20, which then, you know what started then. And then again, 7/20 to 12/20. And Jupiter was in Capricorn 12/2/19 and 12/19/20, and then will be 11/15/31 to 11/29/32. But right, nothing in between there. But there is a Uranus return, and Uranus is Aquarius and sudden events between 26 and 29 in Gemini, which has to do with the twins. So that is a big period for returns, okay? The coal graphite bonds are better with their neighbors, but not so much interdimensionally by plane. The diamond bonds interdimensionally. The diamond is the diamond, the divine world of returns. The earth, the world, the hand, the mouth, the month, to say, tell, and forecast. The double doors. So double doors keep coming up like the airlocks. 2 worlds of the spinning planet with the chakra system and direction. Remember the capital letter A comes from that letter F with the angled F. The arrow, which is the river running through the 1111, which is the arced tunnel. 2 almond eyes, the diamond of the breath and the soul of life, of pain and duck. The vestibule between the inner and outer ear, or door, the entrance. 2M, the airlock. The double doors of breath, soul, and pain. The Aman of love. And notice that diamond is 2 Ds on either end, which is 2 sides of the planet. Like so, 1 D is forward, the first D is backward, referencing the spinning planet. And between that is I love. 2 worlds, moons, mouths, hands, forecasts of carb on, dime on, where on is the human Christ to ed, and the vapor alignment and vacuum, and the CDAIRABMOND. This is carbon. This is like mixing the letters between carbon and diamond, because they had me write carbon above diamond and align the ONs, which I did with the other two words before. And they align C over D, which is CD, and then A over I, and then R over A, etc. So CD, AI, RA, BM on D. The bridge of planets, AI, Ray, to be or not to be, co-creators on the spinning planet. Parallel and spinning. And then there's this spinel of the crystals we were just describing. The process of spinning into alignment. Of diastolic, divine water holds the double airlock, unwhittled object for imprint and return. The systolic or systolic is the original whispering bench and double airlock. So D, Ea, and SY is the spin of Ea and the path of holy lubricants supreme. U, a chant of Om, an underlying toll of the double airlock. Return to B, the spiral of Sophia Mother at the Y in the road. Of the masculine who sends her through the double doors. Again, that ignition that gets you going to go through the double doors, because that's hard to go through, right? So when we're returning, we're going through the venous valves, which isn't as easy as coming down from the heart, right? With that big pump and you go right down the body. Now we need this help of the valves to push us up, to ignite us like a hot air balloon to go up. And the energy of the ear hole, the tollate, being an entrance, an airlock, a double entrance or double airlock, keeps coming up over and over. The original supernova of systolic and diastolic. The cyclone explodes apart and then slows down, and diastolic is everything else in slow return. The double door airlock closed behind and must find another way back. New routes to take, imprints, makes a small name for themselves. Chambers of the heart feeds the system, bypassing the toll on the way back. They must pay the karmic debt, an uphill climb through valves and difficult to navigate, but help to push you along to get back to where you once belonged, in the heart, back to the singularity. Feed systolic system, and then diastole is collected. You sigh and die. The diamond, time to return via Mon D, M on D, the Christ to Ed bridge of co-creation on the spinning planet, Mom on Dad, and then MOND is also M, which is 1V1, ON, 1, parenthesis. So then we have parentheses around Vioni, VIONI. And the only Vioni word I found was VIONYESHI, which equals demonstrative. And also the word Kianyeshi, which is ki on yes, high. Also demonster, demon, straight, 6 on 1, the 7 of wands, right? Standing up on the high ground. Creation connection 1, creation 1 on 1. V oni equals life, evil, spirit, or demon today. Until, unless, honey, they, noise, ghost, water, 1. Yes, they are on. V ioni equals ion, to create a connection, to come back together. Diam, as in diameter, is to quiet, to stay dias, no sound, only spirit and soul. Both ond and toli, or M and S, reference the earlock or airlock, the double doors of Ea's open house, lock, to purify before going out and in, yet have an open door policy at the same time, like the heart. Diastolic and systolic versus diamond and cymund, which means cement or cement, which is intention, the intention of the sea, the Christ consciousness, the ocean of emotions, where Simon says, who buys and sells sacred things. And the movie that came up that night was The Family Man. So complete in lock, Pisces upright, Taurus reverse, recovering, forgiving, and apologizing to end a cycle. So then on the 9th, this is when I found out I thought there was 1 new kitten, and then I found out 2 new kittens, and then later that day I found out there were 3 new kittens. And that was the day my daughter went to Arizona that day as well. She just came back. So from the medicine deck that day, I'm still doing my video, Teddy. You have to wait, okay? You're being a good boy. Thank you. I appreciate that. I love you. So from the medicine deck, the raven keeps coming up here too. From that, I don't do the whole read because I have other reads to get to for you. But the one big breath and push, so the energy of delivery. As all the animals forest come to see, suddenly not 3, but a group of 3 and 2 and 1 black cat with spots. The energy of the 42 and 24, 1-to-1, which is the 2 of Cups and the Queen of Wands, the mother and father, the bat and the crow in, or crown, right? Because 24 is Omega and enlightenment. The proud papa and worn out mother, seeing her shadow come out as the eagle protects. Under one canopy, E is glee. And GLE is also farm. Old MacDonald had a farm, E-I-E-I-O, E-I-E-I-O. To cast, exit, exile, and drive out. To resign, abdicate the throne. Where E is passing the torch to us, U.S. Now the children grown enough to go out on their own. The Page of Cups baby and Star Mountain Lion, Papa, telling them to always return home. As teens are pleased with themselves, but still get scared and hide and make snap judgments. The happy family of the 10 of Cups, rolling with the punches, as Mama is romancing this picture of the alligator, 10 of Cups, your divine masculine, and the 18 of the Lynx, your divine feminine, where you fill in the blank. The 14 then of the patient angel, or the teddy bear, the one to cuddle with, or the baby, and the 52 of the Queen of Swords, Black Panther in the leaves, the 35 of the 9 of Wands, horse, wounded warrior who's now free to surrender and do zoomies if needed. That's so funny. So obviously in human terms, talking about doing zooms. Dogs, cats, and horses, oh my, and the alligator on the other side. Mice and squirrels in the tree, all in one magnificent dog doing shadow work, and what's God's reflection is dog, doing shadow work and reflecting God. Ted and Mr. Ed, tread to med. The dog wolf flows God, as Teddy sees the black cat with spots, and the role he plays, only coming around for big events or when other studs around. So again, those who don't change, their spots don't change. And then the energy of the Black Panther galactic proposal and cosmic heart came up, which is Venus, and a galactic proposal. The Queen of Swords of Lady Liberty, the 27 of the Ace of Wands, new passion, the flame ignited, and the 9 of the Hermit, of the wise one who goes within, in the 9th dimension, right, of Venus. Because that keeps coming up as well, along with Celtic energies and the underlying energy and the flowers or flowers and the intergalactic council. Space for Neanderthals to blossom, align with a gift from the intergalactic council or the inner child. As Libra is present, next door to get with the program, leading by example, with justice in being present or presented with a gift, all the Neanderthal man has given, his and her lineage, line age, the arc hinged on Stone Age, Stonehenge, from nothing but the sun to Celtic or LT inside parentheses, and my brother's wife, to truth and balance of flowers of God, the dog wolf and the first, the Neandering wolf pack, gifted by the stars, the intergalactic council of 12, representative of the cosmic heart and galactic federation of worlds, to visit the council today, the 52 of the Queen of Swords, And 5-2 makes what looks like a TV on a stand, or the signposts along the way, like Lady Liberty, with broken chains at her feet that you may not notice are actually there. Two men met in 1961 at Merritt College in Oakland. The group came right out of Huey Newton's head, per Bobby Seale. After marrying in 84, was killed in 89. And this was coming up as the Black Panthers, how it all started. The Black Panther comes off as the Celtic Neanderthal galactic feminine, the Queen's Gambit, linked in a proposal of the cosmic heart. The Queen of Swords, Lady Liberty, with the Ace of Wands, right? That passionate ignition of the Hermit, the wise one that goes within, and the passion for their cosmic heart. The 90, Mother Mary, and unicorns come in. The Celtic cross next to the stars in the shape of the cross. So the two cards that came up was the Celtic cross, but also I want to show you, because the galactic version was coming in to reflect it. You just see there where the Celtic card is. That Celtic card is coming up nonstop, and it came up today as well. All right, so these two came up side by side. All right, so this was mimicking this here in a galactic sense, okay? Just so you get the image. And so you are unable to see the chains at the foot of the Statue of Liberty while you're standing underneath the Statue of Liberty. From space, the Queen of Swords and the Hermit are linked with the Celtic Neanderthal to open a new story. There's an etheric altar above Lady Liberty. The freedom train of the Fool with an open heart and the leap of faith to get to the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow, an arc of fractured light, as all of our colors on the way back to being one bright light, all breaks healed. The underlying energy of medicine and the 51 of the jaguar and the elephant, the 22 of the beaver, 7 skunk, 35 horse, blank card, the 52 of the Black Panther, the divine masculine, Fool, Chariot, and the 9 of Wands in surrender. And your divine feminine's coming up as the Black Panther. So again, the light and the dark of the 51 and 52 coming up, right? The King of Swords and the Queen of Swords, where the King of Swords light and the Queen of Swords dark. The elephant is the LF ant. The LF is leaf and number 2, but also the left feminine, or the lambda leap of the digamma, twin flames, as one with jagged edges of light and with spots, like the cat on the hill, works hard to leap and sweats a lot. Perhaps is Stinky, or perhaps has a pet name Stinky. Actually, my daughter calls Teddy Stinky. In stinking chariot, or needs a shower, with horsepower 144 and room for one who's shadowy and pants or breathes a lot. The jaguar and Black Panther with identical spots. Hers just blend in more in the dark, and his are very apparent sunspots. Hers, daughter, or daughter. The 152 in Gematria came up with codes as the first entry, and then chaos, alcohol, pandemic, Ganesha, shine, Isabel, ASAP, etc. You can look up the rest. And then 114 came up with hate, ladder, Mark, Madeline, Clark, LSD, heat, Lenin, and Abram. And you can look up the rest if you'd like to. But sweating was also coming up. Sweating it out, doing zooms. 144 turns of the water wheel. Again, as Ia steps down, Old MacDonald's farm. Human logarithm of word and song, Mick and Jagger. As the 24 comes up, June 10th, 24, at 12:53 and 3:28 p.m., Mick appeared to mock Donald on Friday Atlanta concert, spoke to crowd about 2024 election, and references looking for more for more votes as he introduces Sweet Virginia and admitted the band wanted to play Wild Horses, but they needed 1,100 or 11,000 more votes, like to do that, like making fun of that. A more important vote, he said, is coming in November. And it said that Trump had rebutted, you can't always get what you want, which I thought was kind of funny, actually. The father's arm of ego in concert on Mary's and David's arms. Oh, Aaron. Mary, David, and Aaron were coming up here. And again, 610, that birthday, which is the Queen of Wands, Gemini energy. Right? And again, the masculine's coming up as queens here, being queens. And the word zeitgeist, which is general, intellectual, moral, cultured climate of an era. 144,000 sitting at their posts. And again, remember, right, the second coming comes from within. That topic was coming up on one of the Next Level Soul guests, Bonnie McCliss. So you can check her out if you want to. It was very interesting. And then the message I did on the 9th, the numbers that came up on that read were 1221, which also is coming up nonstop, and 777s, double 3s and 4s. So there's the Empress and Emperor energy, and the 34 of the 8 of Wands energetic exchange, the arrows of love, and also the plus sign of the vertical and the horizontal, and the 3 keys of alchemy with the 3 sevens, and of course, like, you know, hitting the wheel. What came up from those cards were the key of a sudden event, and the sea was coming up here too. A divine Jew or eruption wave, July, and 2 of you, where T seeks the great wheel, Knight of Wands. And Knight of Wands is all about learning how to have a slow burn. The TC, divine JC, is coming up as that toroidal field with direction. The JCT, from instead of C to shining C, was coming up as key or T to shining T, or key to shining key. Seek destined Knight of Wands. The tree in a timeout with the crucible and the volcanic eruption, molten metal. And T has been coming up as lots of different things lately, just everything with Tesla, Terra, thymine, threonine, matrix transpose, tritium, temptation, time, Tuesday, tenor, testosterone, T-wave, T-cell, T-beam, temperance, AT&T, and T is actually the shape of the area between Philadelphia and Pittsburgh, and butch lesbian. 309, and again, seeing the divine Jew, seeking the Knight of Wands, and we have both justice and the wheel coming up here. So there's a lot of Libra energy here. And the word jut came up, J-U-T, which means the 2 of you. Just the 2 of us. The Crucible Sea, the Pacific Crucible War at sea with the Pacific. So this is where Pearl Harbor came up. Witnessing, writing the... so again, this was the Pacific Crucible War at sea in the Pacific, 41 to 42, was about what was witnessed the first few months after Pearl Harbor, the Pacific War. The divine 2 of you seek the high vibe destiny, the Night of Flames, again, the slow burn. The temperature of the sea, southeast and sudden events, and after death, like IV waves of 2 U's destined to the after death test of flames. Let's see here. Justice and freedom. So again, we're clearing some of the energies from Pearl Harbor, this specifically this full moon. With something to say at 28. Always returning home. Sophie's Choice and the Eagle's Nest High Above. 9 equals 1 when the twins are in the middle. 9 equals 1 plus 7 Stinky, the key to his stripes. Seeing himself in everyone. It's like sometimes I look at Teddy and I think Teddy thinks he's a cat or he thinks he's a squirrel. He sees himself in the reflection of every animal he runs into. He sees how he's like them. And again, us being called to do the same. The energy of the Buffalo Galactic Medicine Man and the Rock, the Celtic Neanderthal line in a galactic cross portal, or in front of an Irish church. The Celtic cross is galactic stars, a kite, the crux star. So both the northern and southern crosses were both coming up here. And the Neanderthal Celtic crucible was coming up, the galactic kite, the hippocampus where you can see the stars superimposed on Stonehenge, or the Celtic cross, the stone wall of the horse farm, which is the hippocampus, which has to do with memory, the dream catcher in the field of dreams, the medicine man. And again, we have someone running who's a doctor, the Two of Cups 42 and the Lord Kamika, Metatron and the eighth ray coming up. And Farsees were coming up, as well as Elena and the Galactic Cross. The sweet spot of 4 to 7 of dreams, of K-U-M-E, K-A-C. And that was interesting too, because I was bringing up my nephew's wife, literally, as I was going to that party on Saturday. And 8 and 5 came up again, which is greased lightning. And then breaking the chains, and Fleetwood Mac came up, and the fleet coming up, the intergalactic fleet, and the Amazons, the Ace of Flames leading the way, the flames leading the way. There's an Ace of Wands 27 proposal linked in to the transformation of the journey of 3 and 2 and breaking the chains. Fleetwood Mac. That's funny. And my daughter just went to visit someone whose child's nickname is Mac. An intergalactic fleet, the Amazons, are the flames. And again, the Amazons are the, tall women. So then the matriarchal lines were coming up. And again, Mary and Sophia lines. And for me, Dorothy and Daisy were coming up. And the medicine man, I was getting I did the meditation with Jen McCarty. And I was getting a message from my mother about the mention, the medicine mention, and the cycle complete of contracts. Menshi is the female monk or nun, the hermit. And mensch also can be that's the feminine aspect, where mensch can be the honorable person, usually male, or gender neutral, the human. The gentleman of strength, integrity, and compassion. And again, medicine coming up, right? Right, because it could be, C can be the ch sound, chine, the minch. The 3 realms of Aryan Arianrod came up as well, regarding the Celtic cross constellation, the Celtic cosmos of land, sea, and sky, and the sea being the boundary of our world in the lower realms. And the word CAER, which is the fallen or fortress, the revolving door, a gateway for traveling between worlds. The Arianrod, underwater her icy castle sleeps, northwest shore of Wales at low tide, 1 mile off Gwynedd, home of Glastonbury Tor and Avalon Island. It lies in a stony place in Sarnatin Bay. Is that what it is? I don't know if I'm saying that name correctly. Not far from the prehistoric mound of Dinos Dinelli. I don't know how these are pronounced. An oval reef, about a 1/4 mile east to west and a 1/10 mile north to south, in a submerged area of stony ground connecting it to the mainland. The west end rises to low summit, briefly visible in the lowest spring tides when white horses were said to dart and play upon the surf. And then the Corona Borealis came up with the North Crown. There was a poem that came up here. There's a cross amid the evening sky when summer comes again. There's a crown which sparkles clear and high above the homes of men. The 7 stars in a semicircle, the Arianrod, it's called the Silver Wheel, the Fallen Fortress, which is the Welsh name for Corona Borealis, which is opposite the Pleiades, who trade places every 12 hours, and also the crown of the Greek goddess, Ariadne, who spun out a thread to guide Theseus out of her labyrinth. The castle is in the shape of both the crown and the cauldron, a vessel of transformation and inspiration. But you can read more on that if you'd like to. But both the land and sky, I don't know how CAER is pronounced. Sayers or seers are signposts to the other world, for neither are completely of this world. The monumental cross also came up of Mairedoc. And again, the crucible, which references Mary's boiler, the double boiler, the double gates, the double doors, the rainbow, which equals the cauldron, which equals tea, the caster of the rainbow, the crown of Robin Hood and the archer, hot and fractured light in the arch, the hole maker, the awl, AWL, where the water bends is the portal, Sagittarius and the ark. And Sagittarius is Sagittarius, Rias is laughter, right? So Sagittarius leaves you in stitches. It's the direction of laughter, whereas Aquarius is the emotion of laughter. And the apple Taurus coming up here. Sagittarius is the archer, of course. Say Gita and laugh. The archer who arcs and fractures the apple or light. And again, the Celtic comes up here as parentheses with LT in the middle of it. The crucible is the rainbow, the melting pot, the double boiler, the fractured light, the crown borealis, or the corona borealis. And a recurrent nova there, which is called T, TCRB, reoccurring nova outburst every about 80 years, and is predicted to come again soon. Last recorded 1946, and predicted from February to September 2024, but I haven't heard anything new about it. The star will jump. They are able to record it because it will jump about +2, and they're able to see it for about 1 week. And this is between Arcturus, Bootes, and Vega in Lyra, next to Hercules and Bootes and Serpens Caput. And a message I received here is, notice that with the rainbow is broken white light. So it's the most broken that are the most colorful. 6/14/21, Nova Her, called 2021, Hercules, next to Sagitta. It's another nova that came up. And synapses of the Tesla brain coil, the crystal Q, or quotient interfaces in the 5D brain, the aspects of the 3D brain, perceived through metaphor, etc. Oh, this was coming up with magenta. But the Tesla has been coming up nonstop. Okay, let's get over here. All right, so on the 11th, the letter A was coming up as the Eiffel Tower, because that represents the arrow tip. It's the arc with the point above it. The arc is the rainbow, and then the arrow is the direction that the break takes in order to come back together again. So the cards that were coming up here, and Sagittarius was coming up again on the 11th. Lucky Star came up by Madonna, the gift of Sirius, of love and dreams, healing and shining like a diamond, two worlds in a binary system, the Page of Wands, plane of existence, the dream gift to Fantasy Island, the Wounded Warrior's wish of the heart squared, to activate the heart into the living library, the lucky sun, and the four chambers of the heart, the double airlock or home, the open door where you can check in, but you can never leave, a one-way safety door or vacuum seal. As the phoenix rises, the ashes come to light. To rebirth is to shed the skin and walk through the door, leaving the old world behind so you can't get back in. The Page of Wands and Knight of Wands, Leo here, or Sirius system, of Saggy and Leo, of Sagitt, which is the arrow, the shaft, the bolt, Tarius of Roman descent, the parking lot with no entrance and the tread block that will rip your tires. It's that same kind of energy. Once you open your eyes or are awake, there's no going back. It's a one-way door. Right? Getting the shaft. To grow, to form, reuse ashes, close, to spring, shine, bounce, burst, splash, and explode or pop. Also Roman of Roman descent, the rowboat and oar, which oar is like the arrow but using the other end. The presence or star, the star of love, the love of plane and plane of wish, the active heart. Wish with luck and luck of the four chambers, of the rising of the phoenix, where one light flows through your heart. Chambers activate and collective awakens, aligning with flowers or flowers and rowers, where salt water or the river meets the fresh flowers or flowers. The wings and petals, where the petal hits the metal and links in. The Ace of Wands flame ignites to lead the way to transformation. Present star, Page of Wands, lifts in a wish. The Wounded Warrior surrenders to heart for good. The luck in the sun as the Knight of Wands rises from ash to light, opening and blooming to the link where salt meets fresh in a proposal of the Queen's choice. To lead with good news, breaking chains to rebuild more organically, where land meets sea, meets sky, meets I am. And then borderline came up. Feels like I'm going to lose my mind. You just keep on pushing my love over the borderline. The Celtic cosmos came up again with the Arian rod, the three-way lock of the Celtic triangle, and the Sayers or Kayers revolving door. Of the sea and the air, the Arian, the bridge and the ash, and the open doors perpetually. The Y inside the circle, which is like the Mercedes symbol, and the driver of 10 and 2. The double airlock, 120 degrees, of graphite with 3 neighbors, and diamond with 4. And there, where the graphite is good at bonding with their neighbors, but the diamond is great with being parallel to other planes of existence. The double airlock of graphite drives, stable at room temperature, grounds with neighbors, and the and the triple safe lock of the diamond multidimensional three-way safe lock of 2 and 3, the Taurus and the trident, the Toys R Us, scratch and dent, the fork in the apple grounding to earth, the second coming of Poseidon's advent, the thump of his big stick on the ground. I literally saw this as Pegasus stomps too, right? So here's Poseidon is Pegasus's father, and Pegasus is known to stomp and create springs, and here Poseidon was stomping his trident as Pegasus stomps too, to spring that all is well, as Santa shows winged horse how it's done down on the farm with their claws. Saint Claus, instead of claws, it was like the claws, the eagle's claws, or of Nick. Two using God, the Godhead horse, the winged or wing to Ed. Poseidon's advent, the positive side, one's event, a venerable tour. As Poseidon pounds the ground. And as I drew a little drawing to remind me of what I saw, it looked like the constellation of Cygnus, or the Northern Cross. Poseidon stomps the ground to well in a deep vibration, as Pegasus stomps and creates a spring of superficial vibrations, where hope springs eternal, one-to-one human house equal, but well springs eternal. Two U's equal 1, 1, 1 and 1 side by side. SP rings, Sophia housing rings, are in God and Sophia. The pring, P-R-I-N-G, equals the morning and bamboo. S pring S, two sine waves with morning between them. The rising between them, the dawning between them. Bamboo is the B-am and B-oo, to B-I-M and to B-U-U, as 1 and 2. As the floodgates are open, as the eagles flock in to build a more natural and flexible connection. A star is born in the sea. When reaches the shore, it is ready to break the chains and go out on their own, or birth. The gift of a supernova present, where I am meets the sky, meets the sea, meets the land, the infinite E-land, the island that equal and congruent at the Rainbow Bridge, with and /+ /et on the other side, on pos side on's adventure. The positive side on adventure. Ea and Pegasus, of Ea and Medusa, or Med USA's child, Destiny's child. As Chrysaor is the JC key here, of Med USA, of the path of Y. Pegasus stomps and springs, housing Egg and Gaseous, who questions, Sagittarius, and Chrysaor is the HP 144 RIS plus, instead of cross and plus the horsepower of the 144 turns of the water wheel, plus Sayar, which is a good man, free, noble, independent, and disengaged, unrestrained, not fixed or combined, blameless and innocent, immune, safe, inexpensive or cheap, and with choice. Peg and Chrysaor et al., married with children. Chris rides Peg and she stomps her feet and flaps her wings. And then the animals came up as the 2 and the 1 as the 12 chakra system. The 144 turns of the free. Then the hawk and the baby and transformation and animals came up after the Lemurian healing and Kuan Yin of 24 and 43. The Queen of Wands of roaming Mother Mary and Kuan Yin come together in Joya or Gaia with the animals to ground divine feminine and respect for all animals. The divine feminine message of the baby in the basket and the news of a birth where all the animals gather around. honoring the laws of nature, the circles of life. As the 46 Six of Cups raccoon digs in the trash and decides to leave to find a better home or shelter to birth their 12 chakras, making the Emperor number 1 and protecting the Six of Cups innocent ones. Mother Earth with 3 of Cups with the animals, as the Queen of Wands and Divine Feminine, and now the Emperor looks for proper housing for the Lamb to Father leap in the awakening at 111. So, on the 12th, Kings 18 came up. So the LA Kings, the hockey team, came up, as well as 1 Kings 18. I have not troubled Israel, Elijah replied, but you and your father's house have, for you have forsaken the commandments of the Lord and have followed the Baals. And then on page, I was guided to open up Elena's book, A Gift from the Stars. Page 252 is the Taygeta, or the Ashara, which is the Pleiades in Taurus. And I've read it before, but I went through the different Pleiades, which the Manahai, she says, is the daughters of the mother, where Mana is the Joya. So when I got Mana Joya, it's also the mother Gaia, the planet. And Haya is the daughter. I is venerable. And Imana is the great mother source for Pleiades. Hu, Hu is the sun, or the Hu, the humans are the Hu from the planet Man. But they're considered, Hu in their language is considered the offspring of us, the man race, whereas I, Mana, Hu is the children of source. So anyway, I was just writing some of the words down. On the 13th, the Manahu, the Pleiadians, the mother, and Hus, the daughters of the earth, Terra Gaia. And I was getting Hu on first base, to be or not to be ace. And then, of course, Snoopy comes up. And Kings 1:8 came up. It is I, he answered. Go tell your master Elijah is here. The only remaining prophet of the Lord. And the number 1888 came up, which is the year of the 3 emperors, where 2 emperors died in Germany in 1 year. Wilhelm, and Helm keeps coming up too. Wilhelm I, then Frederick III, and then Wilhelm II. So he only had 99 days of rule. Number 3 led Germany into World War I and ruled until their abdication and fall of Germany, or the German Empire, 1918, at the end of the war. All right, let's see what else we have here. So Ashara, or Taygeta, means the bright daughter of wisdom. And wisdom I was getting here is the saved knowledge. Oh, they say is the saved knowledge of the man cultures. And again, the 4 inhabited planets of Ashara, the Ashari. So in Gematria, the number 4830 also came up, which came up as we do more as we have God as our sovereign protector. The 3rd entry was for, behold, I create new heavens and a new earth, and the former shall not be redeemed nor come into mind, so the old will be forgotten. The 13th entry is the unconditional love that is offered to you. Please open your heart and receive. So 1888 was also John F. Kennedy Jr., and 2 was the shot heard around the world. 3 was Hail Victory, Hail Trump, and the number 12 entry was the final key code, K-A-T-A-R-N-A-A-R, and Hey You Christ. The root crucible N-I-R. The N-I-R means arena. Or arena, A-R-I-N-A, is hearth, grates, fireplace, flower, sand, and arch, harpoon, charcoal, uprightness, levelness, starch. And then the other smaller words, eagle came up in there, as well as ear and vein again. And the or. Cat arena. So Katerina could be coming up as well. And the elder's grove. The root throne in the ear and the vein. Again, the double airlock. In the eagle, to protect and defend. Ea happy to help. Through the ear and the vein, Ea and ear. Notice it's Ea, R, R's, the ers of Ea. The root crucible, arch and grate, that which holds the fire. The hot rainbow that holds the fire that ignites. The boiling water and bow. Rising temperature to channel hot water, emotions into a target. And then Targeta came up. And the arrow of the F that becomes the A of the rocket, and the Eiffel Tower, and the plus sign, which is the bow, the divine cross bow and arrow. To allow your anger out. As when I was in Vitality on the 5th of September, it's when I screamed as loud as I could. All of a sudden, Divine Mother just came through me. She just took over. That rebel yell, the gift that fell, Sunday, which was today, that day, from Mana 15, Mana Day, September 15th to the 18th, which some think the Mana didn't fall until the 18th as opposed to the 15th, which the 18th was my birthday. The shadow to the moon and the Ides of March and Kai, they of the high priestess of the sea, or the horsepower of the sea, of the 144 turns of the water wheel, and the AI, HPAI, the arrow and the arc, the bow and the arrow, the inward direction of pi, and going back the other way, pulling back, and the plus sign with the arrow being the bow and arrow and letting go, right? Pulling back on the arrow and then letting go. Creating momentum by pulling back and taking action by letting go. Allowing the stream to flow, the waves to come in. The 360 degrees of Atlas and the map of intent. What goes around comes around with help from source and mini-me degree of gree. Gree is a flight of steps. A green stage in the process, rank or station, preeminence or prize for winning, completing courses. To agree or agree is goodwill and agreement, the intention of agree. The goodwill amidst the ash or bright light intent. Of G, which is the little T leap to re of the shaman, of the little T leap, arch to shaman. Sophia's ha, and man, the wisdom of Ea's funny bone. The right elbow or right hand man who makes him laugh. Aquarius, the water, emotion of laughter, and Sagittarius, the arrow or direction of laughter. The emotion of laughter with purpose and direction. The water bearer and the archer. And Greer is to rig, or rear God's children. Capricorn, the billy goat of sky blue grotto, the horn of the island and floods or pants that are short. San Michel in Capri and the lucky bell, the blue grotto and Naples and Capri trace back to the wild boar or goats. The fossils of, was actually fossils of wild boar found there. It's also the Etruscan word for rocky or limestone and sandstone rock. The campanella or bell, where the wind sounded the bell without any help from man, that brought the fishermen back to the island before the bell stopped and the storm hit, leaving tons of fish on the island. Which is really funny because I just posted today the heart and the fish that got stuck to the bottom of my foot from the bushes and the berries. And notice this, on the site here of the bell and the story about this was the ID of one of the soldiers. And it was IDWC capital N and like an exclamation point, 18432. and the name was William Helmich, Hill. Date of birth 4/20/1916, and 4/20 is actually my son's time of birth and his room number. His weight was 138 and his height 5'11", brown eyes, brown hair, and issued May 20th, 1943, and he was a pilot. It said at the bottom 1549 Santa Ana, 1943-9000. And it was a little navy fishing in the moonlight is the way the story started. Okay, so the wind saved them by ringing the bell. And I'd actually written my post prior to that day, and I'd literally written that the energy of Libra was at the helm. And then we have this one. Let's see here. "4830 came up, the strength between the father and mother to get source support in order to lead the group by example. With 1 and 48, which is miracles, and 31/4, which is the 5 of wands and the chaos of life. 2 chariot, the mother aligned, the eagle soars to the lambda or lambda father leap for power to dance in perpetual flowing ways infinitely. Okay. Just give me 1 second here. So I ended up making a little box for the cats outside, which actually worked pretty well. I rounded it between the bushes and put some rocks in front of it, and I think she liked the rocks there. And I put a plastic lid that didn't fit over the whole box, but I was able to cover the front of the box and put a rock on top of that so it wouldn't move, and it actually stayed. Actually, it was very windy yesterday, and it's still in one piece, but I ordered a little cat house for them so they'd have somewhere to stay. So we'll see how that goes. My continuing saga. And then here is my message of the day, which I'm going to show you the picture of. Oh, I guess not. Can you see? Yep, still running. Okay. I thought it had shut off. All right, so here is the message of the day. These are the underlying energies, 3 cards, and then the extra cards that want to come out organically to finish the story. And for numerology, this is the Journey of Love, the Shaman deck here, the Nature Whispers deck, and then the energy deck at the bottom. Okay, so this was on the 14th, yesterday, and I pulled the Journey of Love at 11:44, the Shaman deck at 51, Nature's Whispers at 11:52, and the energy at 11:53. The cards at the end came out to 1111 or 1111, which is the Twin Flames, number 1 entry in Gematria, and also 2425, which is the Queen of Wands and the Knight of Wands, who's learned the slow burn. It's also 24 and 25 is Q4 and Q5, or quarter 4, and then going into overtime to lambda leap to freedom in overtime. When 24 gets to 25, or 25-25, which is quarter, and 5 equals E, which also then brought up QE2, which is the quantum energy of push and pull, digamma, twin flame rays, and disonar waves of fresh rays and salty waves meet in logarithm base 2, risen 3, of word and song in 3-part harmony. The 2-5, which is the, when you put them together squared, it's the potion, the magic potion bottle. And then if you have two of them side by side, it becomes just another brick in the wall. But if you round them, it's the 2 apples that have fallen from the tree. The 2 apples. And QAPP was coming up, the Quality Assurance Project Plan, And QAP, which is coming up as Q and then the apple. QAP is cope, case, cover, feather, leaf, which leaf is also LF and 2 of the LF ant. Cope, strike, case, conflict, cover, debate, or plenary meeting. Feather, leaves, to replete, to fill, or leaves Palestine. Leaves full, to push and pull. Covering, debate, strike, or conflict between 2 and a third, the observer, coping, feathering, and leaving. The 2525 is just another brick in the wall, when squared, but the apple of 2 eyes and 2 cheeks when rounded. What goes around comes around, arguing versus talking it out and taking breaks when needed. Why don't we hire both sides and then a neutral party to break the tie each time? We're computerized now, which I also posted. So why don't we have a morning queue and let the people vote on every issue instead of having a representative, right? Like putting the religious leaders between us and God. We don't need it anymore. The whole world is computerized. Not letting the representatives and their own agendas decide. The underlying energy of the 14 and falling, the 26 of gathering around, the 25 of keeping your dreams alive, 18 of anxiety, the patient angels falling to be inspired to gather around, ignited to keep dreams alive and to release anxieties as the full moon rises. Light as a feather to be patient as the Page of Wands and Knight of Wands ignite the fire of Sagittarius, direction of laughter towards the 37 King of Cups Cancer to release their anxieties. The underlying energy of God speaks, 33 through falling patient angels. After being in the chaos of coming together, the 43 and 49 of the Woman of Light takes it all in, with the Ace of Wands ethereal touch and the 22 of loving all that is, at the 5D station of getting wish and being happy with oneself, to return to the bridge as God's messengers, patiently falling into 3D. The Emperor and the Hermit and the 23 of the King of Wands here, we have 2, 7, 2, 2, 3, as the Taurus and the Trident, to the inspired Batcave, to soar as the eagle and the mother, the wisdom of Ea, to the chariot to the station, the 5D station across the 33 bridge of consciousness, and then 314 of Pi to share as mother and son and angels. The 64 of the sensual awakening, a wake-up call of sweet soul rising, to be whole, as she is the moon, the angelic bliss of the awakening of the world and the earth and the moon. To number 70 of the 2 of Pentacles in heaven in a performance of the ancient ones. 2 by 2 initiating the Queen of Swords, Lady of Light, as she stands before the ancient ones, as the light is projected upon them. In the etheric light of the shadows, in dark night, it is darkest before the dawn, when the light is its brightest, heaven sent, with the 2 of Pentacles and the Queen of Swords, with multiple perspectives, front and center, and from the side, or sagittal slice of the pie, the apple, to be able to see right through them. A divine baptism, so to speak. Be-aptism. To be or not to be, AP, source, and Sophia, co-creation. C-R-E, at connection, of fresh rays and salty waves, digamma and disonar, between harmony and disharmony, or a negative X, a negative equals, or a negative X, or a negative that equals a positive, like a negative times a negative, the push and pull and the clash and the chords, to come apart, to come back together, to release all that's discordant and pull it back together. The 26 of the gathering around at 2 o'clock on the nose, after the 36 lost in space, and the 10 of the deep diver, 32 of the jeweled web, and the 16 empty well, the 6 of the cosmic womb, and the 55 of the farther gate, the 26 of the gathering around, and the 10 of wands of Atlas, the ancient ones, as lost and destined to deep dive, to be found in Mana Joya, the jeweled web of connectivity, the journeyman leading by example, shining their lights. I, child, we be, I, we led to 2 creators in the temple of to be or not to be, 13. In the sudden emptiness and need to replete with a barrel of laughs, the cosmic womb, of Kas and Mik, creating the Om, to be or not. The divine feminine lover of the beloved, the 10 of flames put out in the sea, causing sparks and momentum to fill up suddenly. With the divine feminine lover to birth and fill up your senses with the truth and Excalibur of Farthergate, a bold step forward through double airlock. The 5 equals E, so 5-5 is EE. Locked in a room until they agree, like failure to launch. When you fail to inspire self, that's when we get a sudden hand to open the mountain, the people's remembrance out of the mouths of babes. At the Page of Wands, a gather around in the power of community. The 54 Page of Swords, and the crossing, the initiation, and the 37 King of Cups, the magician's sword with confidence in your magic. The 49 of skywriting the fates, as horizontal and vertical come together in a puff of dragon breath and baby's breath. The 24 of Queen of Wands, galactic or gal act of the inner child mushroom, as the shaman peels back the layers of the crown, the divine matrix, the mother 9 or 3 X's. The matriarch of Excalibur, as 44 grounding and integrating the perfect storm, the ravenous peacock seeks attention from the eagle's nest, as an electrical storm in their heart activates the first breath of 21 of the world, the divine feminine and the beginner's mind. The 30 of the horsemen heralds a time of change, the world and union of 211 and the divine feminine and masculine in union. The 2 and 1 or divine feminine and masculine in union, complete and whole and home free or home bound, a worldwide celebration of the union of God's messengers. At 220 is the underlying energy of the 35 and the wounded warrior, culmination of vision. The 48 of the 8 of Cups and hope and happiness. The 38 of the Queen of Cups and the acceptance of love. And the 36 10 of Wands of Atlas and the intuition. The 5 of clearing out the old and the 25 of keeping your dreams alive. In the fall, the wounded warrior's leaves die, an ocean breeze through the hair, and a whispering of Aquarius to come, with all the colors of the rainbow, as the tree accepts the vines and becomes divine in their acceptance of love from within, activation and map of intent. The crown is activated with intuition, the twin towers of you and I in connection, with Esther Williams in Sink or Swim, mastering the hidden house by clearing house, to free the Knight of Wands to take action, as Blue Baby blows kisses. The wounded warrior perhaps went to the beach to surrender and came back to tree with thinking cap and blindfold in the light and the shadows of the Queen of Cups and Atlas, mastering their slow burn, the magic potion to keep it circling or spiraling a round at a time, back and forth ever higher. The 39 of the Knight of Cups, clear endeavor, and 47 7 of Cups, laughter, as the 32 trust your own understanding of the Knight of Wands and the Knight of Cups, with heaven in their eyes and laughter on their minds, as little avatar boys are stomping in the clouds to trigger more synchronicities and fun. Perhaps even an early winter blanket, lots of choices to lead the way. Filters okay, but remove the mask. Trust your own understanding of the masquerade. The 44 of seeking beauty in Hercules or her harvest. Lady Liberty, Esther Williams, in the channel of wishes. The wishes of the waters of northern lights, oily northern lights. In the vortex, the portal, the lambda or lambda father leap times 2. Her harvest and seeking beauty in a leap of faith at the 5D station, a tightrope display over the net or web. Of King of Cups Cancer or his release, as the 44 woman holding a heart and 49 angel of love take action, with the 17 of 2 stars, black and white, to be or not to be, with financial constraints at 238, which could be 2 Queen of Cups as well. The 33 of door to romance and the 3 of blossoming abundance, the 28 and 40 of victory and the 6th chakra of Archangel Metatron. Bridging Christed or Christ to Ed and Mother to Eagle, soaring. 333 to 28 and the twin flames, and the 40 of Ea, Page of Cups. The Christ to Ed and Mother and Son, or Grand, As the stage is set for romance and abundance, her victorious peace at the pass and his innocence of wings, as third eye blasts open, her crown his whole, taking each other's roles, sinking into 68, the Page of Pentacles, the student of life, with the Page of Cups innocent, teacher of love. The falling angels, or Saggies, perhaps, the Page of Wands and Knight of Wands, into or out of anxieties or jail. Cancer or Pisces here too, unless the King of Cups is Scorpio between Pisces or Capricorn and Cancer, or the full moon, as Pisces or Capricorn could be traveling and the King of Cups Cancer at home waiting for them, perhaps due to the new kids on the block, or animals, and the bliss of the message of the Page of Swords pain in the ass, with the Knight of Cups clearing and weaving her heart, wearing her heart on her sleeve, or a painful end with the Page of Swords and Knight of Cups, and grounding and integrating, or being Hercules between the Page of Wands and Knight of Wands, and the Page of Swords and Knight of Cups, perhaps doing social work here, and trying to settle something between two sets of kids. The sweet soul rising with the King of Cups' magic sword, or the intern could be Aquarius Page of Swords who likes to tell jokes, or a prankster. The angel of love who's pleased with themselves, and Pisces here, or divine feminine, and the world who's complete and happy, writing her own fate with heaven in her eyes and laughing all the way, perhaps seeing things in a new way from above, or the plane, seeing little avatar boys playing in the clouds and horses running wild on the ground, dreaming and healing in another dimension as you land, coming more into focus, heaven's performance, seeing the shaman within the crown, or in the mushroom of heaven on their minds, of birthday wishes and glowing portals, and getting home to find empty cabinet, or needing to go to the grocery store, receiving light from the eagle's perch, or fool's leap, the door to Christed romance and mother's abundance blossom at 28, or 30, 33, and 36, home bridging at the Y in the road, or to your innocence, or home with the Page of Cups sweetie pie, of powerful wings and third eye, or Holy One with grand wingspan, or seeing angels on the wing, or out in the outfield or field of dreams. Perhaps Metatron or Ea presents themselves to you in a Christed romance, Mary's abundance, and twin flame sweethearts, opening all sorts of doors, portals, and cages, right at 4 o'clock on the dot. Which, remember, in the beginning we started with the 4 is Croton, or Father Time, and Saturn. And now we finally have the message that's on the table. Oh wait, that's not the wrong. All right, that's the one from today. We might conk out, so I might have to do this in a separate video. Maybe I'll do that, okay? I'm going to put this read in a separate video. I'll see you in a minute. Rise and be love.